.604 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane off and running. Brian here with you. JP producing. We are starting you off at, get this, y'all, 53 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. Open up WBRZ's website this morning. It says long sleeves advised. Let's go. Coming to you live from the 180 Pros studio. 180 Pros, your business's IT partner. We've got a big show lined up for you today. No Cup of Tech Gumbo today. Haggai's out. So instead, we're going to talk budget, and we're going to talk about a series on Court TV in those two segments. Marc Goldwein with the Committee for a Responsible Budget going to join us at 6:35. David Scott from Court TV going to join us at 6:52. Now, full disclosure, the David Scott interview is already in the can. Big show lined up today. Special session starts today. We'll talk with Caleb Kleinpeter later on. But before we get to anything else, we start off with top stories and trending.
Number 5.
Per the Advocate, Metro Council members grilled the city parish's Office of Community Development last night after hearing that agencies have been waiting months to receive money to combat opioid abuse in the parish. Back in August, the council approved $1 million to the East Baton Rouge District Attorney's Office and hundreds of thousands of dollars to nonprofits and other agencies to address the issue of opioid abuse. 2 months later, those funds still haven't gone through.
Number 4.
The man accused of shooting his Pierre Part neighbor's family member and grazing Sheriff Leland Falcon has been officially identified. State police announced yesterday evening that 60-year-old Paul Blanchard will be booked for 2 counts of attempted first-degree murder, 3 counts of aggravated assault with a firearm, and 1 count each of aggravated assault on a police officer and aggravated burglary and hate crimes as well.
Number 3.
Deputies arrested a man for possession of child pornography after he allegedly produced 7 videos that led detectives to discover a child victim. According to the Livingston Parish Sheriff's Office, Brandon Wayne Howlett was in possession and distributed a file of child sexual abuse material, leading them to discover 7 videos that were produced by him that were sexual in nature. And as we said, one of those victims has been identified by police.
Number 2.
1 person's dead after a shooting at the Villas at Stone Creek off Long Ridge Avenue. The shooting call came in around 5:21 p.m. Emergency officials said the coroner was called to the scene. According to police officials, the shooting resulted from an argument that escalated. 1 person is already in custody.
Number 1.
What in the world is Melissa going to do? Well, nobody knows just yet. You got Tropical Storm Melissa down there in the Caribbean right now. Maximum sustained winds, 50 miles per hour, is expected to escalate to a hurricane probably by this weekend. But beyond that, no one has a clue. Per the, where did this one come from? Per the USA Today. With little to guide it, slow-moving Tropical Storm Melissa is forecast to meander over the central Caribbean Sea for at least the next couple days, eventually powering up to major hurricane status, Category 3 or higher. A forecast that was released yesterday said Melissa will reach Cat 3. That means 120 mile per hour winds by Sunday, October 26th, making it the 4th major hurricane of the 2025 season. Now, where does it go beyond that once it meanders around the Caribbean? Is it just going to head on west into land? Is it going to turn north, head towards Florida, or maybe into the Gulf of Mexico? That's the thing. Nobody's reporting beyond that because it takes through the weekend before they get there. What's trending?
Well, one of the biggest impacts of the government shutdown is about to hit tens of millions on the poorest Americans, or about to hit tens of millions of the poorest Americans hard. The halting of SNAP, a critical food assistance program.
SNAP benefits going away. In fact, I believe Governor Landry already announced that November SNAP benefits are not going to go out in Louisiana because of the governmental shutdown. This is going to be a much broader part of the conversation. We had Congressman Troy Carter on the show back on Tuesday, as we do every Tuesday, DC Current, presented by LABI. When we had the congressman on, I asked a question that was like peripheral to this. Coming up at 6:25, we're going to have to revisit some of that conversation with Congressman Carter because there's a lot to – the guy comes on every single week.
Right.
And love him or hate him, agree with him or not, he is a wealth of information as far as what he's willing to share with us. He's a very good segment every week.
Yes, indeed.
As you know, look, even if you call BS on what he has to say, he's at least telling you where his side is coming from.
That's right. Full transparency, right?
Yep.
In other news, a new Louisiana poll finds overwhelming support for open primary elections as opposed to closed primary elections. I'm sorry, closed party primaries.
Yeah. Closed primary, closed party primary, it's the same thing. This is one that, Moon has been talking about with the special session opening up today.
Yeah.
He's been talking about the possibility of losing closed primaries. And I don't think it's going to happen.
Right.
But, so I'm torn. The closed primary system, I see the benefits of it. I do see the benefits of it. But at the same time, though, when you have open primaries, you're serving the public. When you have closed primaries, you're serving the party.
That's right.
And look, if you are a member of a party, you believe that serving the party is what's best for the public. Otherwise, you wouldn't be a member of that party.
You're correct, right?
Regardless of where you're coming from on that front, you believe that what your party believes is what's best for the people. But, next hour, Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser put out a press release about open primaries. We'll tap into that the next time we do trending stories.
Hey, sounds good. Well, former New Orleans Saints quarterback Drew Brees has advanced for the next stage of consideration for the 2026 Pro Football Hall of Fame class.
There is no reason whatsoever that Drew Brees should not be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
For sure.
None. Zero.
For sure.
He is statistically right there with the GOATs. Look, if you ask who's the GOAT of NFL quarterbacks, you're probably going to get Tom Brady because of the number of rings, right? Drew Brees only has one ring. Tom Brady, he has trouble opening doors because he's got so many rings on his fingers. Can't turn knobs.
But still, nonetheless, right?
But statistically speaking, precision-wise, just accuracy, and Drew Brees was a surgeon back there and put up an unbelievable number of wins for a traditional losing franchise. I'm a who dat till I die. We were losers for a long, long time. And don't look now, but we're losers again. We have Saints fandom. We have grocery bags, Schwegman bags over the head. And then we have Drew Brees. And now look what we're right back to. There's no reason he shouldn't be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Speaking of sports, speaking of football, we're going to talk a little football in the back end. Speaking of the Saints, we're going to talk specifically about the Saints-Bucks rivalry when we come back. Before we take that break, though, got to remind you about Supply Chain Baton Rouge 2025 coming up on October 28th. Supply Chain Baton Rouge 2025, going to be at the Crown Plaza Executive Center. It runs from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Who needs to hear this? Anybody with the word logistics in their job description. It's a one-day conference that connects growth-minded business leaders with tools, partners, and insights that strengthen Louisiana's role in global logistics. That 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. includes breakfast, includes lunch, includes an after-party at T.O. Hobbies with a whole lot of networking going on, but it also includes the latest and the greatest, all the latest advancements in the world of supply chain, in the world of logistics. Want your tickets? Hit up Eventbrite. Tickets are available at Eventbrite, and just search up Supply Chain Baton Rouge. Supply Chain Baton Rouge, October 28th. Oh, I had TDIH. I have this day in history written down for 7:55. Yeah, so we were supposed to have a guest at 8:05. That changed.
Okay.
When I first booked George Bell to talk about Jambalaya Jams, since Jambalaya Jam is today, I had booked him for this morning. He has to come on earlier in the week to promote it. So I moved him up to earlier in the week, and I left this day in history written down at 7:55.
Okay.
Instead, at 7:55. So much good stuff from LRN today. We eliminate 13 through 16 because We'll go 4, 5, and 6. We'll talk about the presidential search committee.
All right. Sounds good.
Six 616 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. New Orleans Pelicans start off 0-1, but my heart's not broken. Every year we go around and around with the idea of are the Pelicans going to break your heart this year? And every year they do. Usually it's because of injuries. Last night they start off the season 0-1, falling 128-122 to the Memphis Grizzlies at the Memphis Grizzlies. But I got to tell you, in consuming this game, a lot of it on radio, by the way, on our sister station 104.5, with Todd Graffanini on the call, there was a lot to like about the Pelicans last night. For example, you had a lot of new folks on the roster, but Zion Williamson was good for 33 minutes, 27 points within those 33 minutes, and 27 points, 9 rebounds, so just missed a double-double. Herb Jones, 17 points, 9 rebounds. But you also had Jordan Poole posting up 17 points. Trey Murphy was good for 13. And how about Jeremiah Fears going for 17? And Sadiq Bey posted up 13 as well. So a lot of faces that you might not have known before. But the Pelicans were very, very balanced. It's Ja Morant for the Grizzlies is a beast. And he had 35 last night. And while you say, oh, it can't be Ja Morant, that's fine, but Ja Morant went number 2 overall when Zion went number 1. So that kind of stings a little bit. But the Pelicans had the lead at the end of the first quarter, at the end of the second quarter. Memphis turned it on in the third, and then the Pelicans actually outscored the Grizzlies by 2 in the fourth quarter, but weren't able to make up the difference of that third quarter where they just went on an absolute run. So Pelicans fall 128-122 to the Memphis Grizzlies. They start your NBA season off 0-1. Meanwhile, on the NFL front, Saints have got a rivalry game coming up this weekend. They've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Buccaneers quarterback Baker Mayfield does not like the New Orleans Saints.
You said on a podcast over the summer that you hate the Saints. I'm just curious what makes this rivalry so intense.
It hasn't exactly been clean play from their part when we play them. It's a physical game. It is what it is. You expect it. Division rival. Yeah, not much else to say besides the fact that I don't like them.
Man, I know we're 1-6, but I want this one this weekend. Kellen Moore, what's your response to being called dirty?
Division games are always fun, no matter what organization I've been a part of. Division games are fun. They're a little bit different than all the rest of the games. You're going to play them twice in a season. There's a lot of commonality. You know each other very, very well. Obviously, my understanding, this is a phenomenal rivalry. They've had a ton of success lately. We've had success. It's going to be a fun battle. Baker's playing as good a quarterback play in this league, and so it'll be a fun battle.
What a punt. Way to just completely punt on the whole thing. All right, fine. Kickoff 3:05 on our 3:05 Sunday on our sister station, Eagle 98.1. I'm looking at the clock. We need to stay on time here. Let's go ahead and break for the Fox Business Report. I'll have traffic on the back end of the break. We'll hear some of what Brian Kelly had to say on the SEC Coaches Teleconference next. Ba-dum-bum, ba-dum-bum. Ba-dum-bum, ba-dum-bum. All right, heading on back to the traffic center. We are looking a lot better this morning than we were yesterday morning, to be sure. Only delays we're seeing right now are on 12 westbound coming in from Livingston Parish. You're going to find your normal congestion all the way till about Millerville, and then the delays are going to ramp up a little bit. In between Millerville and Sherwood Forest, it is not full-on stop and go, but a lot more stop than go. So if you're coming in from Livingston Parish, it's going to be slow going this morning. It's not enough to make you want to change your route, though. Meanwhile, 10 westbound coming in from Ascension Parish, looking good. 10 eastbound coming in from West Baton Rouge Parish is golden. And I-110 is looking good in both directions as well. Meanwhile, surface streets, we're not bad there as well. In fact, there are no surface street accidents to report at this time. That's your look at traffic from the Talk 107.3 Traffic Center. .624 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. We visited with Congressman Troy Carter back on Tuesday. A little DC Current presented by the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry. Going to dive into that in just a minute. I did want to finish up with our sports segment. Sometimes we have a little sports rollover, and that's what we got today. LSU head coach Brian Kelly was on the coaches teleconference yesterday. You've got a top 3 team in the nation, the number 3 team in the nation, coming into Tiger Stadium this week. You've got a rivalry that the league has determined is a game to be worth playing as their regular opponent and won't roll off anytime soon. You've got a battle where you win every year at home and you lose every year on the road. Protecting your house is important this year. You are looking at one more loss and you might be out of the playoff picture. So, Brian Kelly, by all means, give me coach speak.
Our guys are certainly in a position now to do something great here at Tiger Stadium that is, beat the number 3 team in the country. So, our focus is squarely on doing that for 4 quarters. Practiced yesterday, loved our energy and enthusiasm, and now you got to go do it. But I'm really pleased with the mindset of our team and the opportunity that lies in front of them.
With the number 3 team in the nation coming in, there's going to be a lot that looks good on your opponent's side of the field. Cut 8 if we could, JP. When you're bringing in Texas A&M, what impresses Texas A&M as far as Coach Kelly's concerned?
I think more than anything else, it's the ability to win on both sides of the ball. You look at a win against Auburn at 16-10, I think was the final score. And then, 45-42 against Arkansas. They go on the road to Notre Dame and win another game in the 40s after giving up points. So I just think that, to be undefeated, you have to be able to rely on both sides of the ball to carry the day. But, we get a chance to play them on Saturday. And look, at the end of the day, we just need to be the better team for 3 hours. And that's what we'll be looking forward to doing on Saturday.
Kickoff is technically 6:49 p.m. on Saturday night. You'll hear that game on our sister station, Eagle 98.1. Eagle 98.1 game day starts 5 hours prior to that at, I believe, 1:45. One big question going into the weekend, you saw it last week. Whit Weeks was on the sidelines in a boot. Is he going to be available for this week's game?
Whit is still non-weight bearing. He's in the boot, and we'll keep the boot on for him for another couple of days before we know what he can do. He's been doing some additional treatments, and he's feeling better, but we won't know on him until later in the week.
Okay, that was Wednesday morning. To be fair, he had we're almost a full 24 hours later. So right now is later in the week. I'm not expecting Whit Weeks to play. If you're in a boot on Wednesday, going into Wednesday, probably not going to be game ready for Saturday. I will tell you this, though, looking ahead, Saturday's forecast includes an 80% chance of rain. And when you scroll through the hour by hour, looking at that chance of rain is early on, and it's going to be like a rainy day all day long. And then the chance of rain scales back as you get closer to game time, although rain is still in the forecast all the way through the game. That being said, when you were looking at the possibility of campus really being lit, to get back in the win column, there might be some weather not permitting, I guess, on Saturday. But the game will still be played 6:49 p.m. on our sister station, Eagle 98.1, Saturday night. It is a home game weekend, which means Matherns has got you covered as far as your tailgating is concerned. Anything you might have forgotten for your tailgate, anything you might have run out of, and if you bounce from tailgate to tailgate, stop on by. They got some pop-up tents outside. They got cold beer available. They got jambalaya available. If you go on inside, they blow out the salad bar, fill that bad boy up with beer as well. Matherns is just an absolute game day must. I stop by literally every home game on my way into work. I grab a couple of Red Bulls and a big old water, and then make my way over to be buried in the bowels of Tiger Stadium for the duration. They're right there on campus. They're the only full-service grocery store on campus. They are your closest grocery store, no matter where you're tailgating on campus. It's Matherns. 6:28 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Yes, I'm keeping an eye on the clock, and yes, we do need to tap into what Congressman Troy Carter had to say right here on this show on Tuesday. Talking about the government shutdown. Okay, we're going to play the second cut here, JP. Talk about the government shutdown. The big point of contention is over health care. Whether or not we're going to continue to fund tax cuts and Obamacare and everything that goes along with it. I asked the congressman, when the government is so all-encompassing, you're putting a lot of eggs in one basket and throwing the rest of the eggs away by diving in to close things down over just health care.
This one item the Democrats are fighting for benefits Republicans and Democrats. Mm-hmm. The ACA tax credits. These are tax credits that help people who barely make too much money to get Medicaid, but make way too little money to afford to pay for their own insurance. This meets them in the middle. These are working families across our country, black, white, Republican, independent, of all races and backgrounds. It will be different. This is not something Democrats are fighting solely and specifically for Democrats. We're fighting for something that impacts Americans in every single congressional district in Louisiana will benefit from an extension of the ACA tax credits.
Pop quiz, JP. Get on your mic. You
Okay.
got 35 seconds to do this.
Okay.
You going to the doctor today?
Nervous. No.
Did you go to the doctor yesterday?
No.
Did you go to the doctor the day before that?
I didn't.
Did you go to the doctor the day before that?
No.
Okay. You plan on eating today?
Yes.
Did you eat yesterday?
Yes.
Did you eat the day before that?
Yes.
Did you eat the day before that?
I did.
Okay. The same families that need the health care coverage likely need their SNAP benefits as well.
Right.
The same families that you are claiming to be speaking out in favor of, something they do maybe once or twice a year is being thrown to the, or something they do literally every day is being thrown to the wolves to fight for something they do once or twice a year. Here's news.
Good point.
Did that count as a rant? Was that a hot take?
Hot take.
Do I have
Let's
enough
go-
hot takes this morning?
Let's go with a hot take.
Can we call that a hot take?
Hot take. I want some hot cakes.
Hot cakes?
I want hot cakes.
Pancakes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hot cakes and hot cakes and hot takes. Pancakes and hot takes? I don't know. Anyway.
I can go with that. It's a good breakfast segment.
That's what I'm thinking.
Frank Smokehouse should host sponsor the damn show.
There you go.
Pancakes and hot takes. That's, bro. You might have just come up with something.
It was just a joke.
Do what?
It was just a joke. A
Solid.
little jokey joke.
That's where the best ideas come from.
Pancakes and hot takes. Huh. There we go.
Good morning, Christy. Welcome in, Boo. Hey, Galen, I appreciate the feedback on that front because we're we're still trial and error over here.
Yeah.
And all right, so it's a work in progress, but I appreciate the feedback. It does look a little bit better this morning.
Oh, did you get your atomic clock up there?
No.
Cade got it set up.
Yeah, so I heard. It's not on.
It's not on.
No. It's clearly there's power going to the monitor.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know if the computer went to sleep.
It probably did. Crap.
Oh shoot.
What if I should keep the mouse on this side and just constantly move it?
No, we could set it to where it doesn't go to sleep.
Oh, really? Because Cade
Yeah.
was asking me yesterday. I was like, I'm sure there is a way, but I wasn't quite sure.
I get something off the printer real quick. I completely forgot. And this guy should be calling us.
Okay.
So if not, I've got his phone
There he
number
is.
somewhere.
Studio.
Make sure I'm
Hi.
pronouncing his name right.
Good morning,
I
sir.
have Goldwein.
Doing well, sir. And can I get a pronunciation on your last name? I'm sorry. Goldwine. Okay. No problem. Yeah, we'll have you up here in just a few short minutes. All right. Thank you. All right. Good morning, Facebook crew. How y'all doing this morning? Let's see. Goldwein.
So I got it right.
Yeah.
Oh. How about that for a fast-moving first half hour, huh? Almost need the conversation to slow the show down a little bit. Hitting that news wheel with personality.
Rather chilly.
.636 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. With our national debt currently at 100% of gross domestic product, America has never entered any kind of economic emergency as indebted as we are today. It's almost certain that we will come out of the next downturn in even worse fiscal shape than we're already in. That's from a recent press release from the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget. We're going to dive into that in just a second. I do need to remind you about the folks over at Vex European. You can check them out online at vexeuropean.com. VEX, V as in Vinny and his team. They're over there on Benefit Drive, the backside of Industrialplex. If you drive a European vehicle, I cannot stress this enough. Specialization is the key, right? You bought your European vehicle for a couple of reasons. Performance and longevity are among those reasons. Make the most of both. Get yourself a technician who is expert level, master level with your make of vehicle. BMW, Mercedes, Land Rover, Jaguar, Porsche, you name it. Check them out at vexeuropean.com. And by the way, before you hit the appointment tab, hit the specials tab. See if you can't save $100 on your first visit to Vex European. All right, joining us now from the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget is Marc Goldwein, talking about the in case of emergency plan. Marc, welcome to Talk 107.3. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing very well as well. So, saw the press release the other day, and I got very intrigued very fast because it makes a number of good points, especially while the government shut down. Let's start with this. What is a break glass plan?
So here's the situation. We always have crises, right? There's always another recession, another pandemic, another war, another natural disaster just around the corner. But we never prepare in advance. We wait for the crisis to happen, and then we figure it out. And when we do that, we usually figure it out by adding tremendously to the national debt. That was fine when the debt was small. But now the debt is gigantic, larger than it's ever been in our history outside of World War II. And we think we ought to have a plan in advance. You know, when you're in a building and you see those little glass boxes say, in case of emergency, break glass. That's to pull the fire alarm.
Right.
That's our break glass plan. In case of a fiscal crisis, this plan ought to be ready to go.
Walk me through what it looks like, and then because from there is when we'll get into the real discussion.
Sure. So we're still developing all of the details, but the basic idea is you need to respond to the crisis at hand. You need to make sure that response is responsible, and then you need to have a long-term plan to address the debt. And so we basically suggest a four-part plan. Part one, the response, as I said. And so, for example, if we're in a recession, that might mean a bit of an extension of unemployment benefits or a bit more money to the states. Part two, pay for it. We can't have this stuff adding to the debt over the long term. So some common sense offsets, like maybe paying hospitals the same regardless of their sort of site of service, or closing some loopholes in the tax code. Part three, we need to get our long-term debt under control. Our deficits are completely unsustainable. They are rising rapidly. And so we suggest something that's pretty mechanical. Basically, let's put a freeze on most types of spending and taxes. So things just don't grow every year until the deficit catches up. And part four, that freeze isn't actually great policy. You know, it's incremental, but it's not actually targeting where the waste is. So have a fiscal commission that can come up with specific ideas to replace that across-the-board freeze.
All right. Part 4 is probably going to be the hardest one of all of these along the way. But I want to break this down piece by piece, especially when you consider the fact that the government's shut down right now, right? I think that's a big part of it because when we go to open the government back up, we're going to have to adopt a new spending plan, adopt a new budget. And along with that is going to come a lot of parameters from both sides of the aisle. So I feel like now's the perfect time to be having this conversation because they're literally about to have this conversation in Washington, D.C. Am I off on that?
No, I think so too. Look, we're not going to enact the necessary deficit reduction now. There's just not the political will.
Mm-hmm.
But we can get it ready. And that's the idea. The ideal version would actually sort of get it ready in law to go, have an automatic trigger so these freezes go on. But even just getting it ready so politicians are all socializing and are thinking about it, are prepared to use it, would be a tremendous step forward. And, the right time to do this, I think, was decades ago. The next best time is now.
Oh, no, absolutely. Completely agree. And the more we see, the more rotations of this earth there are, the more we have opportunity to experience different scenarios. For example, you mentioned, the pandemic. It would be nice to see some sort of plan put in place to say, should we run into another pandemic, this is how we're going to play it. But we're 5 years removed now, and it looks like the only answer we had was, cut $1 trillion worth of checks. Did that run out? Okay, cut $1 trillion more. That doesn't feel like the right answer. So what can be done to put a game plan in place ahead of time?
Yes, the pandemic's a great example because we learned so much. There were definitely things that we did right during the COVID pandemic. There were a whole lot of things we did wrong. And I know many people are kind of bitter about the things we did wrong, but, the grace of understanding that we were all learning as we were going, I think is important. That's not forgivable in the next pandemic. If we waste all of this time having not taken the lessons we learned and used it to do it better, then what are we even doing here? Because the response to the last pandemic, yes, it kept us out of depression. It also gave us massive inflation, which we're still wrestling with today. So we got to have these plans ready. And to your point, we need different plans for different scenarios, right? The response to a pandemic is really different than the response to a banking crisis, which is really different than the response to a major natural disaster.
We got about 4 minutes left with Marc Goldwein from the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget. Marc, I want to pivot over to long-term reducing debt and deficit are both like unbelievably important, but understanding the difference between debt and deficit, that seems to be, those people seem to be few and far between. How much is overall populace education of how this how this whole machine works? How much of that is a part of the overall equation?
Yeah, look, I think it's important that people understand the basics, which is that we are borrowing about $2 trillion a year.
Mm-hmm.
That borrowing is added to an accumulating amount of debt that just hit $38 trillion. This is not driven by waste, fraud, and abuse or foreign aid or too much money in the military, right? It's driven by very structural disconnects between our major spending programs and our revenue. I don't think people need to understand the details of how economic crowd-out works or the exact dollar that goes to each thing. I don't think that's necessary. I think if people understand you can't borrow indefinitely more than you bring in revenue, that's a pretty good start. And politicians, they don't benefit from that understanding because politicians want people to have as low taxes as possible, as much government benefits, and then they just lie about the debt part.
Part of the overall plan, we're talking with Marc Goldwein from the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget. A part of the overall plan here in the default deficit reduction, y'all mentioned a deficit reduction surtax. What would that look like?
The basic idea would be like, look, you got your income tax, you got your payroll tax. We're just going to have a very broad-based start at half a percentage point tax that most people pay. It would be 1% for higher earners on all your income. No deductions, no major exemptions. And then that incrementally goes up every year along with this freeze until we get deficits to a manageable level. And manageable level doesn't mean balanced budget. What it means is deficits about 3% of GDP. Mm-hmm. That's what Europe targets. That's what Secretary of Treasury Benson supports. It's what the Obama administration supported. It's not a perfect target, but it's a very widely accepted target. And then if we get the deficits down, we can bring the deficit surtax down. The idea isn't for this to be an indefinite revenue machine. It's to keep the deficits under control.
Now, the problem we run into, and this part 3 sets up part 4, the problem we run into there, Mark, is that when you talk about taxing Americans more, I feel tapped out. I'm sure you feel tapped out as well. What would it look like to put together some kind of, like y'all call a fiscal commission, to help make sure that this is being managed the right way?
Yeah. So the nice thing about the surtax is because it's really broad, it's only going to hit everybody a little. But that's not nearly as good as finding the most wasteful parts of government, the most low priority parts of government, and actually cutting those. Finding the most egregious tax loopholes and cutting those. And for that, we propose a fiscal commission. Now, I've worked on 2 of these commissions before. I worked on the Simpson-Bowles Fiscal Commission in 2010. And let me tell you, if you build the trust, these things can work. We got 11 out of 18 of our members supporting recommendations, including 5 out of 6 sitting senators, Republicans, Democrats, far left, far right. They agreed that if they worked together, they could both support things that were kind of hard to support in isolation. It just takes the political will, it takes the trust, and it takes being willing to get out of your comfort zone.
Last one before I get you out of here, and I greatly appreciate your time this morning. What's the difference between that proposed fiscal commission and Doge?
Yeah, well, when Doge was first announced, I was very excited that maybe they were going to do some of that work. Doge was always focused exclusively on what they call government efficiency. Look, you can't solve the debt by cutting waste, fraud, and abuse. There's not enough. But also in practice, most of what Doge did was just reduce the size of the federal workforce and cut some grants. The big money is Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, defense, and the tax breaks. And Doge didn't go after any of those. That's where we need to be looking for the waste. That's where we need to be looking for the savings.
And that is what's going to be on the table as they try to reopen the federal government. So that's a perfect spot to end it. He's Marc Goldwein from the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget. Man, I greatly appreciate a couple minutes this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Take a quick break when we come back. David Scott from Court TV joins us next. I've got to carve an hour out of my day today. I got to go over and get my hair cut. I've got so much product in my hair right now. I feel like I'm wearing a helmet. But I would look like Albert. I would look like Albert Einstein if I didn't. It's not. I'm shining on Facebook for sure. Matthew says 100% understand how Democrats and progressives love open primaries, but Republicans and conservatives favoring them is absolutely baffling to me. Another example of how most of Louisiana's Republicans aren't really conservative, just right populist.
There's no outlets out there?
I mean, that's what I did. I just plugged it in, set it on one of the guest chairs out there. You have the
David Scott.
David Scott. Did it run 8 minutes?
David Scott is. I'll give you the exact time.
And you cleaned it up where
7:59.
Skinny. You cleaned up where Skinny came in and said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! Stop! I hear clicking."
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I took that. There was something else I cut too. What else was it? I don't know, but yeah, it's cleaned up. Yeah, it's literally 7:59.
Glad to have him back as season 3 of Interview with a Killer on Court TV is coming back around. David Scott is with us. David, welcome back, man. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me on this morning.
No, absolutely. You and I chatted when Interviewing with a Killer was about to first come out, and I was picking your brain about the mentality behind the whole show and how this is going to be a completely different perspective. And, you know, as promised, as delivered thus far for the first 2 seasons. Tell us about season 3.
So we've gotten better at it. I think we've got a whole new roster of fascinating cases of killers, and we've got lots of questions for those killers. The first episode is a 2-hour special featuring Adam Curtis Williams, a convicted murderer who brutally killed two lovely retired people from New Hampshire, only to steal their truck and trailer and drive himself across the border to Mexico as he was fleeing the law. Classic sociopathic killer, crime of expediency, heartless crime of expediency. This is a career killer who now claims to have found Jesus in jail and undergone a religious epiphany. Now he says he sees the error of his ways, and we've taken to task on that. I think this is the killer who most lets me inside of his head, and trust me, it's a scary place to be. But we take him to task, and in some ways rake him over the coals. This show, as you know, like everything on Court TV, is ultimately about justice, and we're trying to serve up some justice in the court of public opinion.
We're talking with David Scott. He's bringing us another season of Court TV's Interview with a Killer. After Adam Williams, so you got, you know, he murders retired couple. Then we move over to Rachel Wade, who on the age, on the timeline of ages here, takes us to the other end of the spectrum.
That's right. Rachel Wade was a 19-year-old teenage girl when she murdered her romantic rival. This was a terrible teenage love triangle gone horribly wrong. I mean, really like something out of Mean Girls, but instead of high school drama, it literally resulted in murder. She's been incarcerated for a decade and a half. She has always claimed it was self-defense, but that argument falls apart in our interview, and for the first time on record, she admits that it was not self-defense. So it's a fascinating case. Your listeners will remember it. It made national news at the time, and unfortunately, it landed one teenage girl in prison, and the other one in an early grave.
We're talking with David Scott about Interview with a Killer, and then you go right back to Texas for Julius Mullins, who killed a teacher. David, I want to get away from the guests here and talk about you for a minute, though. What does this do to you? To sit down and to hear these, just frank, just blunt explanations, blunt answers. How do you absorb that? How do you triage that? How do you clock out at the end of the day?
It's tough. I tell you, sometimes I'm not even sure how many of these I have in me. It really does sear your brain and your soul. It takes about 100 hours to prepare for one of these interviews because we have to know everything. Mm-hmm. We read every bit of trial transcript, sentencing hearing transcript. We watch all the visual evidence, listen to all the audio evidence, look at all the crime scene photos. It really does get under your skin. But our training as journalists requires us to set aside, our personal feelings, our emotions, and focus on the task at hand, which is, trying to understand the mindset and motivation behind these cases. And it's that's not an easy process. I'll tell you, for 48 hours after one of these interviews, I'm pretty useless because they are so intense, and there's just so much adrenaline attached to the process of entering the netherworld that is the Supermax prison is enough to bleed you dry. But then you've absorbed, as you say, all the gory details of this horror show, and at some point your psyche needs to process it. Sometimes it comes out in I've had some of the worst nightmares of my life in the process of preparing for these interviews. But I think in the end, there's a discipline to this, and there's a greater good, and that is to try and understand these crimes so that we can fight them. Yeah. And unfortunately, some of the answers can only come from the people that perpetrate them. So that's why we do it. That's why I do it. And yeah, I think it's worthwhile. And for the true crime audience, it is really different than basically everything else on the landscape.
Last one before I get you out of here, and that's where I want to dive into, David, is what do we learn? Because the last time you and I talked, that was an overriding theme, is the hope to learn something so that we can, better pattern and better learn before crimes happen. Mm-hmm. What did you learn this season?
Well, this season, it struck me, I guess maybe halfway through these interviews, it struck me that, very often these terrible crimes are the result not of one bad decision, but of years and years of bad decisions. And Adam Curtis Williams is a great example. I mean, he's a career criminal. The decision to murder these people just to take their stuff is built on years and years and years of dehumanizing behavior. Even someone like Rachel Wade, as young as she was when she plunged that knife into the heart of her romantic rival, she had already been a serial truant, a serial runaway. Years and years of bad decisions that lead to the ultimate betrayal of humanity, the taking of another human life. And so that's one thing that occurred to me that I hadn't really appreciated in the previous season. But even looking back on those cases, virtually every one of them is a murder that was built on years and years of terrible decisions. not just one heat of the moment mistake.
There, if nothing else, there's solace in that we're not just sitting one stone's throw away from going down that path. He's David Scott. It's called Interview with a Killer. Premieres this Saturday. Appreciate you, David.
Thank you so much for having me on. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. Merry Christmas, everyone! 7:05, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Hour 2 coming your way right now. By the way, this is WBRP, Baker Baton Rouge, Talk 107.3 FM. Hour 2 coming your way right now from the 180 Pros studio in downtown Baton Rouge. 180 Pros, your business's IT partner. Time to give your IT a 180. Hit up 180pros.com. We're starting off your second hour at 52 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. Brian here with you, JP producing. We are 7 hours away. 7 hours away from the opening of a special legislative session. State Senator Caleb Kleinpeter going to join us in our next segment to talk about that. Also this hour, Crimestoppers coming your way at 7:35. Looking forward to that. See if we can't catch some bad guys. Right now, it's time for Top Stories and Trending. Bump, 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 bump. Pew, 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 pew.
Number 5.
Per the Advocate, Metro Council members grilled the city parish's Office of Community Development yesterday after hearing that agencies have been waiting months to receive money to combat opioid abuse in the parish. Back in August, the council approved $1 million to the EBR District Attorney's Office and hundreds of thousands of dollars to nonprofits and other agencies to address opioid abuse. But 2 months later, those funds still have not gone through.
Number 4.
The man accused of shooting his Pierre Part neighbor's family member and grazing Sheriff Leland Falcon has been officially identified. State police announced yesterday 60-year-old Paul Blanchard will be booked for 2 counts of attempted first-degree murder, 3 counts of aggravated assault with a firearm, 1 count each of aggravated assault on a police officer, aggravated burglary, and hate crimes.
Number 3.
I got a friend named Paul Blanchard. I don't think it's the same one, though. Paul's not 60. All right. Deputies arrested a man for possession of child pornography after he allegedly produced 7 videos that led detectives to discover a child victim. According to the Livingston Parish Sheriff's Office, Brandon Wayne Howlett was in possession and distributed a file of child sexual abuse material, leading them to discover 7 videos that were produced by him and were sexual in nature. One of the victims has been identified by police.
Number 2.
One person is dead after a shooting at the Villas at Stone Creek off Long Ridge Avenue. The shooting call came in at around 5:21 p.m. Emergency officials said the coroner was called to the scene. According to police officials, the shooting resulted from an argument that had escalated. One person is in custody.
Number 1.
What is Melissa going to do? Well, if you know the answer to that question, you know a lot more than most forecasters right now. Tropical storm Melissa remains in the Caribbean, and maximum sustained winds are 50 miles an hour, which is why she is still a tropical storm. Melissa is expected to escalate to hurricane status by the weekend, possibly major hurricane status, which means maximum sustained winds of 120 miles or more by the beginning of next week. But her path is just kind of jumbled up right now. So until about Monday, we got kind of a wait and see on what's going to happen with the next storm that's out there.
Well, one of the biggest impacts of the government shutdown is about to hit tens of millions of the poorest Americans hard. The halting of SNAP, a critical food assistance program.
Jeff Landry has already said November SNAP benefits likely won't come out here in Louisiana. That's a tough call to make, by the way.
Yes.
But as we see this make its way across the country, and SNAP benefits, I mean, they start federally and they kick down statewide. Look, we broke this down briefly at 6:25. I'm looking for more room in the rundown to get at it again.
Right.
Because we had Congressman Troy Carter on Tuesday, and I had 2 questions for the congressman that I really want to revisit. Question number 1 is, why not put the ball back in Republicans' court when it comes to the shutdown? Republicans say we'll negotiate ACA, we'll negotiate Medicare, Medicaid. We've got to have the government open to do that. And the congressman's short answer to that was, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Says we've been duped before. That's a shorter answer to what Troy Carter had to say there. But the other thing the other question I asked was, our government is so all-encompassing, right? We live in a day and age where there are very few things in life that don't run through Washington, D.C. Why are you willing to sacrifice all of that for this one thing? Why is this thing? And I was careful with my phrasing.
Yeah.
I did not say, why is this the hill you want to die on? Because Congressman Carter's too good. He would have dunked on me.
Yeah.
So rather than get dunked on, I just fouled him on his way up and made him earn it at the free throw line.
There you go.
So we'll find a spot to revisit that conversation later on in the show.
All right, sounds good. Well, a new Louisiana poll finds overwhelming support for open primary elections as opposed to closed party primaries.
I don't know if this is going to get anywhere, though. It was, as I understand it, we got to where we are with the closed primaries for a reason. There's a reason we are there. There's a reason we want to be there. But open primaries versus closed primaries, this is no matter where you are in America, the grass is greener on the other side of the fence. Those that have closed primaries looked at our old jungle primaries and wanted them. We have the had the jungle primaries and wanted to move to closed. So the back and forth on that front, it's going to be a matter of it's like the backup quarterback, you know? Everybody loves the backup quarterback.
I mean,
everybody loves the primary you don't have.
And if the grass is greener, you know what that means, right?
It's time to cut it.
No, there's more manure on that side.
Hey, oh, whoa. Also true.
Yeah, it's true. Hey, former New Orleans Saints quarterback Drew Brees has advanced to the next stage of consideration for the 2026 Pro Football Hall of Fame class.
If he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer, I don't know who is.
I mean, come on.
It's
52 in this class, by the way.
There's
52
as they narrow it down.
Modern era. Yeah.
As they narrow it down, right? Yep. And there's just no category where he doesn't stand out as a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's got one Super Bowl ring for a franchise that was perennial losers, for a franchise that literally wore grocery bags over their heads. Our heads.
I mean,
I had the Schwegmans bag. The precision, the surgical precision, the ability to move the pocket, the raw numbers, they're all there. The only thing he's missing is an MVP.
Yeah.
But if you look over the span of his career, he finished second in voting like every year. Almost every year. That's hyperbole. We're at 712 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. We are due up for a quick break. When we come back from that break, we're going to talk with State Senator Caleb Kleinpeter about the upcoming, and when I say upcoming, I mean 7 hours from right now, 6 hours and 43 minutes from right now, special session as we're going to talk about elections. Before we get you to break, though, I want to remind you about the Baton Rouge Metro Airport. FlyBTR.com is their website. FlyBTR.com. When you are looking at booking your travel for business, for leisure, whatever, do you take into account the entire package here, or do you just look for the bottom rate ticket price? I mean, if you're taking into account the entire package, I highly, highly recommend FlyBTR.com and the Baton Rouge Metro Airport for a number of different reasons. How about this? How great would it be to Uber to your flight as opposed to driving an hour down the road, paying exorbitant amounts for parking, worrying the whole time that you're gone that your car's going to be okay, coming back home only to have to drive an hour back up the road to get back home again? Or just hit up Uber. Boom, you're done. Your car's safe at home, and you don't have to pay for that. And the TSA experience at BTR versus other airports, it's borderline pleasurable at BTR. It's a smaller airport. It's shorter lines. When you fly BTR, you're also flying out of your backyard and you're supporting your local economy. Check them out online, flybtr.com. Quick break. Caleb Kleinpeter's next. Do you have Caleb's number? Okay. yet. No. Hang on. Mm-hmm. $716 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Going to get State Senator Caleb Kleinpeter here in just a quick second. Do need to remind you about the folks over at Neurojust. Neurojust.com is their website, their home base online. If you are suffering from anxiety or depression, and by the way, depression impacts every aspect of life. One of the things that gets lost in the shuffle is so many people mistake depression for sadness. Or, he doesn't seem sad. That's not what's going on here. Depression is, it's all encompassing. It's that constant fight or flight battle in your mind that just leaves you spent in every way, hopeless in every way, just closed off and lost in every way. And it's inescapable. If the traditional therapies have not worked, the sit-down therapy doesn't do it. If the if prescription drugs, if you don't like the way you feel on prescription drugs, you see diminishing returns, side effects, and the like, give TMS therapy a look. It stands for transcranial magnetic stimulation. Basically, magnetic pulses that affect the areas of your brain that affect mood. 30 years of research going on, backing this up here, 85% response rate. It is FDA approved. They're going to make it work with your insurance. I've had that assurance from Jordan, from Neurojust. In fact, if you go to neurojust.com, look right across the top of their homepage. A recent interview that I did with Jordan is right there. If you want to get the word from his mouth and not mine, learn more at neurojust.com. All right, 2:00 p.m. I believe I have the time right there. Special session's going to open up. Joining us now to talk about it, State Senator Caleb Kleinpeter. How are you, sir?
Hey, good morning, Brian. Doing great. And yourself?
Doing very well as well. I appreciate you carving out a couple minutes. I'm sure there's some I's to dot and T's to cross before you all get things rolling. And that's actually where I want to start. How much talk is going on behind the scenes before this bad boy gets rolling to make sure that y'all are working efficiently?
We've had a good bit of discussion on this just to make sure everything's right and that we're doing the right thing.
What is the right thing?
We're trying to buy ourselves some time to give the Supreme Court a little bit of time to give us a ruling back.
Okay, and that's the path we want to walk down. And we spoke with Bo Boyer about this earlier in the week. He's on the House side for governmental affairs. You're on the Senate side for governmental affairs. So let's get your perspective on that front. The Supreme Court heard 2.5 hours worth of arguments, but we have not heard back on what their call is going to be. We did, however, get a number of context clues, if you will, based off of the questioning. So are y'all able to extract from what the Supreme Court has said thus far to be able to say this is probably where we're headed?
No. I mean, I don't want to predict anything of what the Supreme Court's going to do. We're just trying to give us a little bit of time just to wait to see what they are going to do.
Okay, what's the
many
time?
different options.
Yeah, go for it.
They could come back with changing part of Section 2 of the Voters' Right Act. They could come back and say our map is unconstitutional and invalid, or they could say one or the other, or both,
or anywhere in between.
Yes.
We're talking with State Senator Caleb Kleinpeter about the upcoming special session. Okay, so let's talk about the process of buying us time here. The current primary dates for next spring, we're looking to push them back by about how much?
Right at a month.
Right.
We're going from the April and May election to a May and June election. But you have to look way before that. You have the qualifying periods, and then you have the nominating petitions that are due in December. And if you allow that to happen, then Purcell takes effect.
Wait, elaborate on that.
Well, the election process has to go forward on that. That's what we don't want to kick in is Purcell.
Okay.
So that's why we're pushing everything back as far as we can.
Mm-hmm.
Some people think the Supreme Court's going to come back in June. A lot of people think they're going to come back before Christmas. because of all the cases, and there's also elections that's going on, I think, in Texas and maybe another other state.
It does affect a number of states overall, but time frame wise, I believe, yeah, you're right. Us and Texas are the two that are basically on the clock right now. Pushing back from April and May to May and June, is that enough time?
Not sure. We
Yeah.
hope it is. That's as far back as we can push it back. We've been in discussion with the Secretary of State,
Okay.
and I think that's about as far back as we can push it to have the closed primaries.
We're talking with State Senator Caleb Kleinpeter. Want to ask about, you said you want to do the right thing. Have you been hearing any ideas that would seem like the wrong thing right now?
No, not really. I haven't heard anybody say we shouldn't go in. I think that, we're damned if we do and we're damned if we don't whenever we draw these maps. Judge Shelley Dick told us we had to draw a 4-2 map, and if we didn't, then we would get sued. And if we do, then we draw a 4-2 map, and then we get sued because it's gerrymandered. So
Right.
the Supreme Court needs to give us some direction on how to follow either the Section 2 of the Voters' Right Act needs to be changed, or look at the sorry, I had some distraction going on. They just need to give us some direction is what they need to do.
Do we know why that direction has not been forthcoming thus far? Because I feel like we're so far down this path that we should have been given some guidance from somewhere.
Absolutely. I mean, that's why they keep on having these cases, because they do something and then they get sued by one side, or they do something and they get sued by the other side. So I think they're tired of getting all these cases coming up to them.
Mm-hmm.
So they need to give us some direction.
Why, and not just from the courts, but I mean, would the FEC fall under this? I mean, there's got to be some kind of. We're not unique, right? I mean, there are 50 states. We can't be the only ones that are looking at this. I mean, we know we're not the only ones, but we can't be the only ones that are just trying to tread water and much less swim.
Right. I don't know. Everybody always says Louisiana is unique. So.
Well, there's truth in that as well. Let's talk about other possibilities, and I'm going to ask you to engage in a couple of hypotheticals here because there are some out there. Been hearing some talk. Not going to say where that talk is coming from, 9 to 11 right here on Talk 173. But there's been some talk that we run the risk of losing out on closed primaries. What is that possibility, and how would that play out?
I think we're going to keep the bill clean the way it is. I don't think we're going to amend it to change anything with the closed primaries. It was voted on in the House and Senate, had support, and I think we're going to keep it that way.
I've yet to understand how we would go back the other way unless a specific bill was introduced to do exactly that. Would it be able to be wrapped into the bill, or would it have to take something on its own?
I'm not an attorney.
Okay.
That would be an attorney question. I don't know that it would be germane. We're talking about that would be changing closed primaries, possibly, but I'm not going to. That's not what my intention is here. My intention is just to push the elections back 1 month.
Fair enough. We're talking with Caleb Kleinpeter, State Senator Caleb Kleinpeter on the Senate and Governmental Affairs Committee. Let's talk about overall timeline here. Y'all have until November 13th. No way it takes that long, right?
No, I don't think it is. I think the governor just gave us enough time, just in case if we ran into some hiccups on some things. I appreciate him giving us that much time, but no, I don't think we will. I think we'll be finished before the end of next week, hopefully.
Procedurally, y'all have to suspend some rules to get that done, though, right?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, because there's an overall time frame of like wait periods on either side and whatnot. But I mean, if everybody's rowing in the same direction, I don't see a reason to do that.
Right.
Couple minutes left here with State Senator Caleb Kleinpeter. I asked this of Bo Boyer. I'm going to ask it of you as well, and I don't want to muddy the waters. I know y'all are looking to get this one thing done and get out, or two things done, because you have to have the appropriations for the new election date as well. But what is there a possibility under this or any other sun? Is there a possibility that we could see contingency maps drawn here to say, if the Supreme Court says this, then we adopt that?
You're talking about after they make their decision, or
no,
in this?
I'm talking about during this particular session. Is there any appetite at all to draw contingency maps?
I don't know if the call would allow that. I have not heard that from any of my members. It would have to come through our committee on Senate and Governmental Affairs, and nobody has talked to me about it.
Outside of that, I mean, that's pretty much going to cover it. Do you see anything else being entered into, via the parameters of the call? Anything else entering the equation here?
No, I don't think so. Like I said, nobody has approached me with anything. I've been in contact with the Senate President a good bit on this, and he hasn't informed me of anything on that. So I think it's going to be a quick session, get in there, pass a couple bills, and get on out. Gotta love it. He's State Senator Caleb Kleinpeter. Thank you for a couple minutes this morning. Always a pleasure, Brian. Have a great day. Likewise. We'll talk to you soon. 726 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. We got news coming up about 5 minutes from right now. Let me remind you about the folks over at BREC. BREC.org is the website. We had Janet Simmons on yesterday talk about BREC and everything that they've been working on right now. Do want to remind you that there's a lot of Halloween stuff going on. Two in particular. Boo at the Zoo is going on at a BREC's Baton Rouge Zoo. But there's also an event coming up this Saturday, noon to 3. Saturday, October 25th, noon to 3 at BREC's Independence Community Park, which is 7500 Independence Boulevard. The park that wraps around the library and then heads on back up from the corner of Independence and Lobdell, heads back towards Liberty Lagoon. There's a trunk or treat coming up. It's the family Halloween event, Full Moon Fete at Independence Community Park. It's a free event. Family fun event going to take place in the parking lot and surrounding area of BREC's Liberty Lagoon Water Park and Independence Ball Fields, with parking available at BREC's Independence Park Theater. So you'll park at the theater and physically walk across the street to get to where the fun fete is going on. The family-friendly event includes trunk and treat trail. Local businesses and organizations are going to be participating. You got character meet and greets with favorites like Glenda and Elphaba. Am I pronouncing that right? You got Batman, you got Belle, you got all the Halloween favorites going to be going on this Saturday, noon to 3, out at Independence Park. 727, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. We have a minute here. I think it's time to revisit that Troy Carter conversation. Special session on pushing back elections, pushing back primaries is, that's coming up this afternoon. But also, that's on a state level. Also on a federal level, we are in the midst of a government shutdown. A lot of questions as we are now fully into, we're 23 days into the government shutdown? I could be wrong, but no, we're 23 days into October. So I know they started at the same time, didn't they? Yeah, they absolutely did. Okay. Well, that's easy to keep track of. As we're this far into the shutdown, we're starting to see some of the bigger ramifications. For example, November SNAP benefits. Are they going to go out at all? Those who are in need, those who rely upon those benefits in order to feed their families, are they going to go without for the beginning of the month of November? Here in Louisiana, we know Governor Jeff Landry, and you'll hear more about this in news at the bottom of the hour. I said that it looks like SNAP's not going to happen here in Louisiana. And state by state, as you break that down, I'm sure there's going to be a number of other states who are in that boat as well. Why aren't we getting the government back up and running? Why, if you're on the Democrat side of the aisle, aren't you putting the ball back in the Republicans' court? This is the part that I get stuck on. And granted, I'm biased. I'm a Republican. But I'm over here saying, look, Speaker Mike Johnson says we will negotiate everything you want to negotiate, but we got to have an open government to do it. I asked Congressman Troy Carter that on Tuesday, part of DC Current, presented by the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry. And here's what he had to say. One.
Well, because the problem that you have with that is we've been duped before. You can only dupe me so many times. We've tried that before. And unfortunately, sometimes the only hook you have is to exercise your authority to negotiate. It's kind of like, give me a ride and then we'll talk about it. You take the ride and then see you later, Charlie. We just can't keep going down that road. We've done it before and we've lost out. When all things are fair, you can negotiate that way. It's like putting your credit card down and it works 3 times. On the 4th and 5th time, it doesn't. When you go back on the 6th time, they probably aren't going to give you goods or services because your credit isn't good anymore.
So if at first you don't succeed, take your ball and go home. I cannot get on board with that strategy. But like I said, I'm a Republican, so I'm biased. Quick break. Crimestoppers next.
I didn't even consider Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
You know, I'm talking about it, but yeah, golly.
Good morning. We say, sir.
Hey. We set the mood for you. I like this look, man. Set the mood for you. I got you. Hold on. Give me a minute. Yeah, man. Shoot. Yeah, man.
All's well.
Oh yeah, for sure. Get you set up.
Is some Lou Rawls playing?
This is really nice.
Thank you. So, a lot of people put in a lot of effort to light my pasty ass.
It does a lot for the video.
Do what?
Oh yeah.
It really enhances the video. We're hoping so. And we got a new camera on the way too. So.
Oh yeah.
And how are you, sir?
I'm good. No complaints, man. Just all these shootings that you hear about.
Yeah. 736 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Thanks again to State Senator Caleb Kleinpeter for hopping on board right there. Talk a little bit about the upcoming special session. And when I say upcoming, I mean 2 p.m. this afternoon. Curious to see how quickly they're going to get done because, man, Senator Kleinpeter's answers right there were about as cut and dry as I've heard from a politician ever. Like, that was about as straightforward as you're going to get. And I greatly, greatly appreciate his candor and bluntness right there. This is, get in, push things back by a month, and get out. That's pretty darn straightforward, right? All right. We got a lot more ground to cover this morning. We're going to talk with Judge-elect Vicky James in our next hour. We're going to talk with Kyle Callihan and Anthony Winters in our next hour. Got Veterans Week just around the corner. Right now, though, it's time for Crimestoppers. Yes, it's time for Crimestoppers, and we welcome back Lieutenant Don Coppola. How are you, sir?
Hey, good morning, Brian. How are you?
Doing very well. Doing very well as well. You off to a good week?
I wouldn't expect anything less out of you. The week has been good. Yes. Yes. I like the new look in here.
So we're working on it. It's a work in progress. I think we're getting
nice.
there. We're getting there. Trying to make it a more video compatible product, to be sure. So the lighting's a little bit different. We'll put JP in the dark.
Yeah. Make sure he stays awake.
I know. It's kind of relaxing over there. You get that AC coming over from the tech core.
We may need to change the Crimestoppers intro to something little that
little Barry
fits
White,
the
Lou Rawls. You never find nothing. All right.
Oh goodness.
We've got we got some bad guys to catch today. You want to start on the Facebook page, or do you want to start?
Yeah, let's start on the Facebook page.
Yeah, because I always bump around the Facebook page the night before. Just to make sure I'm up to speed.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
Too much.
Yeah.
You know, and you see shooting after shooting, and we need to put these guns down and, you know, settle whatever differences you may have in another way. You know, we talk about these unsolved homicides time and time again, and, you know, once that trigger's pulled, you have no control.
Correct.
Of where this bullet is going.
Yeah.
And,
for example, yesterday,
has to stop. It needs to stop.
A good example yesterday, we had this in top stories this morning. One person is dead after shooting at the villas at Stone Creek off Long Ridge Avenue.
Yes.
5:20 in the afternoon was when the call came in. And here we go. According to police, the shooting resulted from an argument that escalated. Don, you realize what has to be in place right there? A couple things have to be in place. Number one, you got to be armed to begin with, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that is part one. Part two is you have to have such a passion for what you're arguing about that it goes to that level. And three, a complete disregard for humanity.
Complete.
And you get all three of those pieces together, and this is what we end up with. By the way, person already in custody from that one, so
yes.
Good on BRPD getting that clearance. But like,
but you have one life.
I understand,
and you can't bring that back. And if it's regardless, whatever in this case an argument is presumed to be the motive. Does looking at the big picture, I mean, come on, it's an argument,
right?
Get over it. Settle differences. Walk away. Be the bigger person, whatever it may be. But here you have a life that is taken, family that will no longer see this individual.
Right.
Over an argument? Come on.
Yeah, so, yeah, what I just want to know the nature of the argument. Not that it would make a difference. There is no argument that's worth the taking of a life. But what would be the nature of the? Was it over something unbelievably stupid? Was it over something like, just family squabbles can get out of hand? But like, how do they escalate to the point to want to physically end somebody?
Exactly, and I think maybe emotions run high, or they're not thinking. Who knows? But again, going back, Brian, it's an argument. Get over it, walk away, let things cool down, and if it's worth going back and having a civilized discussion, then do it.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not, hey, guess what? Block that individual. You see them again, walk away.
Right.
It's not worth it.
Well, let's head over to the Facebook page real quick. And before we get to a couple fugitives we're going to see look at on the Facebook page, I do want to ask you about a picture right smack dab on y'all's Facebook page. How was the National Night Out Against Crime?
The National Night was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
A good turnout. It was right there off of Wimborne, the Howell Park, right in front of the new Inspiration Center that is coming along very nicely. We had a few raindrops, but that quickly passed. A lot of people out. It's a great picture of us under the tent with one of our board members and Johnny, and then Clay Young as well. A lot of information was obtained by people regarding Crimestoppers.
Okay.
You know, just, hey, we're anonymous. This is how you contact us. You see something, say something. We'll never contact you because we don't know who you are. We don't want to know who you are. We just want the information you have to assist investigators in what they have to do, which we're going to roll into. There was a homicide investigation, a picture of a gentleman or individual that was put up yesterday regarding early morning hours on October 3rd at 5415 Plank Road.
Mm-hmm.
Shortly after that this was posted, tips began rolling in, and investigators were able to identify this individual on tips that were called in. So we appreciate those who took the time to give us information, knowing that they would remain anonymous, which they are.
The two, there's two pictures of it. This guy in a red hoodie. Is that I can't tell if that's a cigarette or a lollipop in his mouth.
I couldn't tell either.
Regardless, they're pretty clear pictures of what his face looks like. So identifying him clearly, folks responded, which is always encouraging.
It's always encouraging. And
now we got to go from, yes, he's been identified, but the battle's not over with yet.
No, the battle's not over with, but half of the battle has been won by identifying him. So now investigators can proceed, draw up some warrants for the arrest.
Yeah.
And
but you got to know where he is.
You have to know where he is. And that's where part two of this comes into play, as once a warrant is drawn up, we will put his identity out again, and any whereabouts of this individual. And really, you can call now and say, hey, this guy is here.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get that information to investigators, and they can continue their work.
His name isn't in the post itself. It just says that he has been identified.
He has been identified.
But the reason I continue to say the battle isn't over with yet is because if someone sees that he's been identified and they think, oh, well, now I don't have a reason to call Crimestoppers. Not true.
Not true.
You may have seen him more recently than the people who have identified him, which means you could put a location on where he was. Just drop another pin in that map right there to say, yeah, I saw him too. I can confirm that's who that was, and I saw him yesterday over at, the Time Saver or whatever.
Right, wherever. And then once he is apprehended, we will put another update up saying that he's been apprehended.
Right.
And so, there is a process here, and we just appreciate people following us and keeping these tips coming in.
Heading over to West Baton Rouge Parish, a couple posts down on that same Crimestoppers Facebook page. There is West Baton Rouge is looking for on Thursday, September 25th, an unknown male entered Walmart in Port Allen, concealed clothing in a tackle box, and left the store after paying only for the tackle box at the self-checkout. Looking for folks who might recognize this guy. There are 4 pictures up there. Not as good as the pictures of the other person that has been identified, but this is another one where when you see 4 different pictures, you get more of a composite of who he is.
Correct. Yes.
you
And this subject was identified through tips.
Oh, was he?
He was.
Okay.
And again, as we just mentioned, I'm not sure where investigators are, but if you know the whereabouts, give us a call so we can get that information over to them.
Yeah. Big old tackle box.
Big old tackle box. A lot of clothes.
I mean, to steal any clothing worthwhile, you need a really big tackle box.
You know,
I would recommend to this guy instead, grab an ice chest instead of a tackle box. You're only going to get so much in there. That's a small. No, you're looking at a small return on investment, Don. You're running the risk of being caught, being thrown in jail, being prosecuted. I'm just, there's more space inside a big old igloo ice chest.
For those listening, we're not going to promote the ice chest, but
no,
I see where you're going.
I'm not promoting it. I'm just saying, like, he's already making poor decisions.
And also, there's scrolling down, a shooting suspect. Baton Rouge police are looking to identify that occurred in the latter part of September in the 11,000 block of Boardwalk Drive. Good picture of this individual.
Oh my goodness! Look at that picture. That's
it's really good.
I couldn't pose for a picture like that.
It's a really good picture.
The black shirt, the blue headphones are on, and it's a little bit pixelated, but if you know this person, you will know this person.
You will know this person without a doubt.
Yeah.
And then Baton Rouge Fire Department is there's a picture of an individual arson investigation that they are working. Just
I'm leaving that one alone.
Follow us, Capital Regions Crimestoppers Facebook page, and if there's anybody you see or if there's any information you know of, give us a call. 344-STOP, 344-7867, P3 Tips app, or our website. But all 3 of those ways to get in touch with us are 100% anonymous.
Yes, which is always important to remember. We got anybody over on this side, the stack you brought in?
Yeah, Jonathan Jackson, 36-year-old, is wanted by the Baton Rouge Police Department on the charges of home invasion, felony theft, battery of a dating partner, and simple criminal damage to property. Investigators believe that Jackson entered a home that he was not, he didn't live in. He had no part of being there. There's a female acquaintance inside the residence. He struck her, believed to have struck her in her face with a closed fist.
Goodness gracious.
Took her phone out of her hand, continued punching her. It's believed that she was maybe trying to call for help before he snatched the phone. Grabs the doorbell ring camera, rips that off the wall.
Okay.
That was found somewhere down the road. So again, Jonathan Jackson, 36, is wanted by the Baton Rouge Police Department on the charges I mentioned.
Let's squeeze in one more if we can.
Yeah,
we got 1 minute to go.
More. Let's do Donnie Taylor.
Okay.
55 years old, wanted by the East Baton Rouge Sheriff's Office on the charge of residential contractor fraud.
Ooh.
It's believed that he was engaged in some work. It was a insurance claim. He was provided some money. The work was never completed. So if anybody has information on the whereabouts of Donnie Taylor, 55 years old, and these are all on our website as well, crimestoppers225.com. Go check it out. If you have any information, give us a call.
He's Lieutenant Don Capola. We do Crime Stoppers about this time every week. Yeah, check out the Facebook page. Check out crimestoppers225.com. There's a wealth of information in both. Always appreciate the time, Don.
Thank you.
Oh, my word. We got caught up on that one, man. Because I had been planning on doing a whole bit about the Louvre.
Oh, yeah.
With the guys in the construction outfits. Wanted to just pick your brain about why we don't see good jewel heists anymore.
All right, bro. Be good. You need something, holla.
Will do. Always. You too. Oh.
Try to stay away, my friend. Yes, sir.
Oh. All right, so verdict is we need one more light, right? and it turned to where it hits that side. We need one more smaller light.
So we've got the little swivels too. If we can get them, that's all we need. That way it's not so.
Yeah, I would go higher. And this wall is never going to be on camera, so there's no reason to have curtains on it.
Yep.
I would go wall mount on this side.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because even with Don, man, that's the thing. Like, it could be looking so good, and then you really,
Ooh.
the real test is when you have a guest in.
Yeah. I should not have
Those are-
sprinted these first 2 hours, man. I just hit tired real quick.
Because this light on you, it's great. We're cool.
Yes.
Then when you have a guest, it's like, if only I could just turn it toward the guest.
Yeah.
Because they're in the shadow, right?
And we're going to have 2 guests.
Yeah.
In the next hour. 2 guests at the same time in the next hour, so. Yo. Shit. I mean, I just ran into the damn wall, dude.
Good.
Normally it's money in the bank. Excuse me, sorry. Oh, shit. Okay. Oh, I got to get up and move around. That's the problem. I've been sitting too long. Well, that and I got 2.5 hours sleep last night.
2.5 hours.
Yeah. .755 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP coming to you from the 180 Pros studios. It's time to give your IT a 180. Check them out, 180pros.com. Top of the hour coming up about 4.5 minutes from right now. In our next hour, we're going to speak with Judge-elect. I think that's the proper term when you elect a new judge. It's the same way you would have like Congressperson-elect or whatever. Judge-elect Vicky James is going to join us at 8:15. She's looking to put together an advisory council to keep everyone more dialed in, which I absolutely love, because when we have during election season, we try to get as many candidates on the air as possible. I believe an informed electorate is a powerhouse in the voting booth. So when it comes to judge races, we have numerous courts for numerous purposes, and from time to time, we can get dialed out because it's not our day-to-day. That's not good civically. So we're going to talk about that with Vicky James coming up at 8:15. 8:35. Veterans Week is just around the corner. Kyle Callihan and Anthony Winters going to hop on board to talk about some events surrounding that. Right now, though, which ones did I tell you here? I said 4 or 5? Yeah, good. You've been hearing from our news partners at Louisiana Radio Network throughout the morning this morning that the LSU Presidential Search Committee will hold their third meeting this afternoon. Piper Hutchinson's a reporter with the Louisiana Illuminator, who says that with this meeting, the committee will move into the final stages of selecting the university system's next president.
The search committee is going to kind of narrow down the candidates into those who will be officially invited to apply for the job. And that means that their names will soon become public.
Which, I don't know if it's better or worse to have it I don't want to say concealed until then, because those who are dialed in on what the possibilities are, a lot of folks have heard a number of different names already. And I'm just hoping Matt Lee's name is still in the number because he's kind of the man. He's done a wonderful job as interim. But getting back to Hutchinson, she says several people have expressed interest in becoming the new leader of the LSU system.
At the last search committee meeting, the search consultant said that there had been about 30 people who had expressed interest, about 20 people who were qualified, and about 8 or 9 who were highly qualified.
Okay. Well, then that gives us the parameters right there. Let's attach some names to it and make it a reality show. Just, have Mike the Tiger hand 7 of them a rose and then 6 of them a rose. And, we'll just head on into the new year. By the new year, we'll have somebody. By the way, next Wednesday morning, the committee is going to conduct interviews with the candidates that are invited to apply for the position and select 3 finalists to recommend to the Board of Supervisors. Hutchinson says after that, a series of meetings are going to be held with those finalists.
Over the next few weeks, we will have public interviews with these individuals until they get down to just a couple of finalists for the board to vote on.
I can tell you that I've been in contact with Scott Ballard, who heads up the Board of Supervisors, and there's been this constant back and forth of when I have availability on the show, he's not available, and when he has availability, we have a segment that's already taken. So we've been going round and round a little bit. We're going to get Scott Ballard on here before the decision's made to talk about just process, what they're looking for, what's the hopeful direction that they want to head in with the next president of LSU. So looking forward to making that happen sooner rather than later. Do want to remind you one more time about the folks over at 180 Pros before we hit news at the top of the hour. They do it a little bit differently over at 180pros.com. First of all, simplified billing is amazing. Don't get nickel and dime with every line item on your bill that you just either don't understand or gloss over or glaze over when you see it. That simplified billing is important. But more important than that is with 180 Pros, you get a partner, not a provider. They're in it with you, okay? Making sure you're up and running at your optimum is exactly their goal, and you're going to have a relationship with the folks at 180 Pros. Check them out online at 180pros.com or call 225-330-2200, 225-330-2200 for 180 Pros. Hour 3 is coming up right after we check news on Talk 107.3 FM. All right, I'm going to run upstairs right quick, and I'll be right back down. I just got to get up and move. Meadows as Leon Phelps, the ladies' man. Leon Phelps. Yes, I was in a missionary position once. So are you telling me you would not like a fish sandwich? Yeah. Administrator. All right. It's moving. It's moving in the right direction. I'm loving it. Boop. Got weather. We got 45 seconds at least. At least. Scusi. Oh, oh, we're getting ready for the news to get juicy today, y'all. Reportable. There are 2 federal criminal cases that we are now seeing arrests in, according to NYPD sources. And I didn't listen to news at the top of the hour, so I don't know if ABC already covered this or not. But one of the stories involves a sports betting ring involving former and current NBA players, some of whom allegedly faked injuries. Terry Rozier's arrest is related to that case. There's another case involving an illegal high-stakes poker game involving sports coaches that were operated by organized crime figures. 31 people are being charged in this case. And as I understand that Chauncey Billups is mixed up in this as well, allegedly. Oh, I can't wait to learn more on that front. I got to tell you. Oh, by the way, 806 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. We're coming to you from the 180 Pro Studios. Is it time for your IT to hit a 180? Check them out online at 180pros.com. Hour 3 of Mornings with Brian Haldane coming your way right now. Brian here with you, JP producing. We're 53 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. I got to tell you, we're looking at one of the most interesting, at least from my perspective, one of the most interesting weeks of the year or in a long time as far as national news is concerned. Right? If you're looking at, you've got the government shutdown and the aspects of the conversation or the particulars of the conversation that's bringing up. You got Donald Trump knocking down the east wing of the White House to put up a huge ballroom, which I see the benefits of. I also respect the history of the White House and don't want to see it turned into, it's just a glorified reception hall. But then you got the dudes that robbed the Louvre. And now you got, like, NBA coaches sitting in on Tony Soprano's poker game. I'm here for all of it. We got news. I mean, that. Let's go. I want more on this poker game. I want Matthew Bevilacqua sweeping up underneath Sill's feet. Sopranos reference. If you don't get it, I apologize for the inside joke. I want Richie Aprile coming in. All right, no, I stop with the Soprano stuff. All right, let's go. We got hour 3 coming your way right now. We'll talk with Vicky Jones in our next segment. We'll talk with Kyle Callihan and Anthony Winters about Veterans Week before the hour's out. Right now, though, we start off with this day in history.
All right. Of course, brought to you by 5 Star Printing and Signs.
Yes,
of
brought to
course.
you by 5 Star Printing and Signs.
Yes,
Printshop5.com is their website. 271-4096 is the phone number.
Get that logo on something, right?
Yeah.
They do everything.
When Davey Scatino needed a big sign out in front of his sporting goods store before Tony Soprano took it over, I said I was going to stop, and I didn't stop.
Oh, man.
I didn't stop.
How many times have you been through The Sopranos?
Dozens.
Right. Wow.
The entire series. I don't know that there's a scene that I can't recite along the way.
Oof. Wow. Insane.
Yep.
Hey, 1950, an estimated 25,000 supporters in a women's suffrage march on New York's Fifth Avenue, led by Anna Howard Shaw, founder of the League of Women's Voters today.
What year was this?
This was 1915.
Okay.
25,000 supporters, women's suffrage march. Good day. 1962, 12-year-old little Stevie Wonder recorded his first single for Motown Records.
That's awesome, but we had stuff that happened before that.
What do we have?
This day in 1941, Dumbo premiered.
Ooh, Dumbo.
Yeah. Actually, before that, this day in 1926, let's bring it home to Louisiana. This day in 1926, Tulane Stadium opened.
Oh, okay.
How about it?
Good stuff. Good stuff there.
Yeah.
1973, Richard Nixon agrees to turn over White House tape recordings to Judge John Sirica.
Yep.
Man.
Nope. Oh, wait. Yeah. Okay, sorry. It was this day in 1926. Ground was broken on Tulane Stadium in April of 24. Opened on this day in 2020. In 1926. Held about 35,000 people.
Okay.
Talk about Tulane Stadium.
That's good. It's good stuff. 1980. Mark David Chapman quit his security job and signed out for the last time. Chapman would murder John Lennon on December 8th of this year outside of his New York City home.
Yo, that's crazy.
That's insane, right?
Yeah.
And then when he signed out, instead of using his typical Chappie, which I guess was his nickname, he wrote John Lennon.
Ooh. They should have known.
They should have, man. They should have. Let's see. Hey, 1995. Def Leppard gave themselves a place in the Guinness Book of World Records by playing 3 gigs in 3 continents in 24 hours. It's kind of impressive, right?
Yeah.
3 continents, 24 hours.
3 continents,
Nice.
24 hours.
Man. 2001, keeping it with music, Apple releases the iPod today, 2001.
Okay. All right. I'm here for it.
2019, Google's research lab claims it achieved quantum supremacy by performing a calculation in 3 minutes that would take a supercomputer 10,000 years.
Ooh.
Check that out, huh?
Ah.
And this day in 2023, superfog conditions near New Orleans caused a motorway pileup involving 158 vehicles, causing 7 deaths, unfortunately.
Okay.
Superfog, New Orleans.
I remember that. Because it was the fog mixed with the smoke coming from the smoldering whatever, moss underneath the ground or whatever.
Terrible.
It was awful.
Yeah.
Remember that like it was yesterday. Birthdays.
Johnny Carson, we'll start there.
Yes, sir.
What about Weird Al Yankovic today?
Hey, friend of the show.
He
No. I've been corrected.
Well,
he's been on once. He's an acquaintance of the show.
Acquaintance?
Yeah.
He'll be back.
If he's on once, acquaintance of the show. On twice, friend of the show. More than that, good friend.
All right.
Yeah.
Also, actor Ryan Reynolds today.
Ryan Reynolds. Yep. Got him.
And I knew I had one more for you. No, that might be it.
Okay, well, I'll add to the list here. Quarterback Doug Flutie, born on this day in 1962. Legal commentator Nancy Grace, born on this day in 1959. Author of Jurassic Park. Michael Crichton, born on this day in 1942. And soccer superstar Pele, born on this day in 1940.
Yeah. Deaths here. I got Christian Dior.
Okay.
And Yokozuna.
Who?
Yokozuna.
Why don't I know that name?
I know he's
Wrestler?
a sumo wrestler.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't really know of him, but it's funny, right? His name kind of resonates, and you're like, where do I know that?
Yeah, I knew it,
Yep.
and I associate it with wrestling. So there's that. National days today.
Oh man, these some cheesy ones. Are you looking at them?
I have one that it's the one I'm rolling with.
All right, what do you got?
It is National TV Talk Show Host Day.
Okay,
Because
yeah.
it's Johnny Carson's birthday.
That's right.
So I want your feedback over on our Facebook Live feed. We're up live on Facebook and YouTube every single day, courtesy of the folks over at Lake Urgent Care. Hop in the comments section. Greatest TV talk show host of all time. Forget about the type of TV talk show host. What are you talking about, like late night, like David Letterman or Conan or Johnny Carson or Ed Sullivan? But broaden that out. Put the Bill O'Reillys of the world in there. Okay? The Hannitys of the world. Broaden it out. Put the Jim Romes of the world in there. Right? Best TV talk show host of all time. Who you got? Sound off over on Talk 1073's Facebook page. We're at 8:14 at Talk 1073 FM WBRP. We're running long for a break, but I need 60 more seconds of your time to tell you about Landmark Bank and LandmarkBankLA.com. LandmarkBankLA.com. Landmark Bank was founded in 1897 as a community bank. And here in late 2025, they remain a community bank. Unbelievably important when you talk about who you choose to share your future with, who you choose to share your finances with, who you choose to tackle your dreams with. Yeah, it's not just about having a checking account or savings account. Where do you want to be in 5 years, 10 years? Where do you want to be for retirement? Where do you want to be when it's time to, let's say the oldest kid gets their driver's license and it's time to buy a car, but you don't have enough saved up yet. Okay, you might need to borrow a little bit. Let's talk about financial planning. Let's talk about purchasing a home. Let's talk about updating a home through a HELOC. Let's talk about all of it. They handle and walk through it with you over at LandmarkBankLA.com. Community bank since 1897. Landmark Bank. Oh, my goodness. So I have a good 10 minutes worth. And come on in, you're right here. We've been working on how to properly light the studio. So we're on Facebook Live all the time. Cameras over there. Not 2025. Yeah, in some form or fashion. So Daryl says you're starting an advisory council. Okay. 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 We spent a little bit of time talking, just recapping, like running for judge and like what that was, walking away with 51%, not needing a runoff. So, but we'll pivot over to the advisory council right after that. Either way, so the camera's over there, but we'll be having the conversation. So just look at me, it's fine. So, was this the first time you've ever run for anything? Yes. Okay. Oh. Was it? I did not know that. Interesting. Eight 18 Talk 1073 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. On the most recent ballot, you saw Vicky Jones' name on there, looking to be a judge, and she walked away with a victory. Doesn't even need a runoff. 51% of the vote. Joining us right now, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing very well as well. Do we call you judge-elect? I mean, when is swearing in? When does all happen?
Judge-elect until I actually take the oath.
Okay.
And we haven't set a date for that yet.
Okay. I want to start before we get over to what you're actually here to talk about, and we will have plenty enough time to talk about both. But I want to start with running for judge because I'm always intrigued by this. When we see someone running for a political office, whether it be president, Metro Council, anywhere in between, we know what that office does. But when it comes to running for judge, I think a lot of people just kind of glaze over and don't know the nuances, intricacies, and differences between the different posts. Right. Well, as you were running, what did you find came from the electorate, came from the people as far as their understanding of your wanted job description?
I don't know that there were any real questions about the job description per se. There's just a lot of mistrust of the judiciary. People just, don't trust what happens in court.
Okay.
But a lot of that is because they don't understand what happens in court. Questions aren't asked, which I always encourage people, ask questions.
Yeah.
If there's something going on that you don't understand at any point, hey, just jump in there and ask what your question is. So a lot of it was, education about, what happens. People feel like when they go to court, they're just sitting there all day and nothing's happening. You call me to court, I'm sitting in the galley, all day long, and I have no idea what's going on. So we talked a lot about what happens behind the scenes, what's going on in the back to try to resolve the docket.
The wait part of the hurry up and wait, right?
Exactly.
So how easy is it to translate?
Oh, it was really easy. Just, once we talk about the steps that occur in court and, how we get from point A to point B, then, that made it a lot easier. A lot of questions about bail, consistency, sentencing, how all of that's done. So, but, once we had those conversations, it seemed to have alleviated a lot of those concerns. People just want, they want to be heard and they want access, just.
If concerns are alleviated, is trust rebuilt or is that a slower process?
I'm hoping that that's what's established. But
Gotcha.
I think once we have the discussion, then they also need to see that in play.
Yeah.
Before we get a full buy-in, it's fine that we had that discussion to talk about it, but now I want to see how that actually works.
Gotcha. We got Judge-elect Vicky Jones in with us. You want to start an advisory council as you're taking on this new role. Tell me what would make up the advisory council and what would the mission be?
That is still, I guess, in the planning stages. My vision for it was because there was so much concern, talking to people throughout the election saying that I feel like once, judges come out here, they want our vote, then we never see or hear from them again.
True.
And I also felt like, okay, well, I got questions during the campaign. How are these questions then going to be translated, or how is this discussion going to continue once I'm on the bench? So that's kind of where was the birth of the advisory, council.
Well, give me an example of some of the questions, aside from just, confusion over what goes on, the behind the scenes stuff. What are a few of the other, top concerns that you want to tackle?
Some of them, my concern is what the community's concern is. So that will change it, depending on whatever is concerning them. We talked about a lot of the hot topics. In our election, a lot of people didn't even realize we had one. People didn't understand the process of the districts changing. I mean, I was very surprised that I would say a good 60% of the people didn't even know that there was an election in October.
Really?
Which may have attributed to the low turnout. And there was a lot of confusion about who was able to vote and who wasn't because, the districts changed in June.
Right.
So there was no real explanation about whether I'm in, whether I'm out. So especially like in the Baker-Zachary area, they weren't even aware until, there was a lot of, information, given out that way to say, yes, y'all are now in District 1. So
is that a matter of we need better communication, or is that a matter of we need to start piling judge races on with a bigger ticket and coordinate better?
Well, I don't think you can do that. I think it was a special election because you had to fill a vacancy.
Right.
But I just think we need to publicize it a lot more. And now this, I think, was a nuance in the sense that the district changed after the vacancy was declared. Judge Fields left in February.
Yeah.
And then the district changed in June. Qualifying was in July.
Okay.
So there just wasn't a lot of time to let people know that there has been a change. Like the time that traditionally would have been spent saying, hey, y'all, there's an election in October. That time was spent, a lot of it was, we actually filed a lawsuit to try to keep the district the same. That was going on. And then so you were kind of in limbo until that was resolved. And then once that was resolved, then you just didn't have a lot of time left between then and the election.
We're talking with Judge-elect Vicky Jones. How would you go about increasing that communication? Because, look, I'm in the business. Like, I'm in the business of communicating. So 3 hours every day, I'm trying to get as much word out about as many things as possible.
Right.
But for folks that aren't dialed in on news talk, aren't reading headlines, how do you increase that, broaden the stroke, broaden the reach of that communication?
That's where your community organizations come into play.
Mm-hmm.
You have both political and non-political organizations out there that do a very good job of, letting the community know what's going on in their areas.
Mm-hmm.
You also have your churches, they also disseminate, the information saying, hey, get out and vote. So, you have avenues to do it. In this particular election, there was just so much confusion and concern about what was in and what was out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's going to be the problem in 2026.
Let's stick with the path of the non-political organizations if we could, because if you are looking to broaden the scope through non-political organizations about something that is inherently political, and I know when you're talking about Judge, you want to check politics at the door to let justice rule the day, but it is an election, so politics can't be completely removed. How do you cross those streams of bringing a political race to a non-political group?
I only mean from the sense of providing the information, just to tell people there is an election and how important it is to vote.
Okay.
Not necessarily to tell them who to vote for.
Well, no, but if you're going to have that level of attention, you're going to want to have that forum as well.
Right. Well, we had a number of forums leading up to this election that were non-political. We had a forum at Shiloh. We had a forum at Beacon Light. We had another one that was at the library. And I think the other forum that we had one at Step Up. We had one at the luncheon. There were several forums.
Okay. I guess maybe I'm phrasing the question wrong, but bringing that to new voices without making it like when you have a forum like this and it is non-political in nature, but you have politicians running, because anybody who runs for elected office is by definition a politician. So how do you keep the level of engagement up without having people just glaze over?
I think because the forums were, helpful and informative for the community, that's how they became engaged, knowing that they could be involved in that process.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the forums, I'm not sure whether they sent in the questions ahead of time. Some of them, audience members were allowed to ask questions during the forum.
Okay.
So that kept the engagement there. And the hope was that when we have these forums, that, the people that were participating, you go take that back to the community and say, this is important and this is why we need to get out.
The next step after information becomes motivation.
Yes.
How would your advisory council tackle that? Because we can have all the information out there everywhere, but man, to get people to actually physically go vote on election day is for some reason proves difficult.
Yeah. I don't know the answer to that, but I know that, you just have to keep saying and keep telling people how important it is to vote.
Mm-hmm.
Your vote is your voice. And I think, we just need to keep saying that. And I think people are starting to realize when they're dissatisfied with whatever's going on with the system, well, yeah, your voice matters.
I tell you what, let's squeeze this down to a retail level, because you just walked the walk. How did you tell people when knocking on doors? How did you tell people when courting votes? How did you express the level of importance to do this for every item that's on the ballot?
Right, that you need to be an informed voter. And a lot of people aren't going to go look it up. They're not going to do the research themselves. So when we're out here, I'm saying, this is why I want you to vote for me. This is why your vote is important. And a lot of it, oh, hey, knock, knock, we're having an election on October 11th. Did you know that? We start there. And then why it's important. Judges matter to you. So the things that you are saying that are happening in court, here's your chance to affect that.
Got about 3 minutes left with Judge-elect Vicky Jones. I want to split those 3 minutes into two different parts. The first part is obviously, what else do you want this advisory council to tackle?
I don't have an agenda for them yet.
Okay.
That's going to be largely driven by, what's important to the community at the time.
The next part is, what are your next steps here? Because you got to coordinate a lot of different pieces in a lot of different places.
Right. My next step is closing down my private office, because I was a private attorney before I ran for judge. Yeah. Then to actually take my oath of office, then actually, to ascend to the bench.
No, I mean on the advisory council standpoint as well. Yeah, no.
Well, I got to get
good
to the
information
court
there.
first.
Okay.
And I've already started the conversation with the chief judge regarding my desire to start the advisory council.
Mhm.
In fact, I'm scheduled to meet with him so that we can discuss that further and what that looks like for the court. Because it won't be my advisory council. It's going to be for the court, as a whole.
Right. So we're looking at what? I mean, I'm trying to map out the follow up to have you back on once we have this ball rolling and down the road a little bit.
How about I give you a call?
That'll
I know
work.
they have judges meetings. I know at some point we'll put it on the agenda. It starts with my having a conversation with the chief judge.
Okay.
And then we'll figure out, because I need to know what the nuances of the court are first.
Mm-hmm.
Let me kind of get in and figure out what the lay of the land is and how we can, put that in. But the good thing is it seems to be well received.
Obviously, yeah, no, because it's such a good, it's a very good idea. Even in its infancy stages. I mean, even in not knowing exactly what direction you want to head, it is more information, which is a good thing.
Mhm.
More transparency, which is a good thing.
Yes.
But I think the biggest part of this, Judge-elect Jones, the biggest part of this is the back and forth. The ability to connect with folks.
Mhm.
I used the phrase retail level a minute ago,
Mhm.
but the ability to do that on a grassroots is a better term. Grassroots level.
Correct.
So.
I agree wholeheartedly, which is kind of where the idea was born.
Very good stuff. Well, then we will follow up after you round up a couple judges, get everybody rowing in the same direction, and we will get after it. She is Judge-elect Vicky Jones. Thank you so much for a couple minutes this morning.
Right. And thank you to the people who elected me.
Of course.
I definitely want to say thank you to the Baton Rouge community, the Baker, Zachary communities. They really came out, and I appreciate that support.
Very, very good stuff. We're at 8:30 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, ABC News coming your way in just a second. I do need to remind you tonight, get a preview of the 2025-26 LSU women's basketball team. Coach Kim Mulkey and the Tigers hosting Mississippi College in an exhibition game. Coverage begins with pregame at 6:30 p.m. Tip-off is at 7. Your home for LSU women's basketball is right here on Talk 107.3 FM. Here's ABC News.
Oh, wow. Okay, you are like really good at that.
Thank you.
Just enthusiastic. I mean, you're energetic, and it's like, let's get that
Oh,
out
no,
there.
it's all good things.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
So yeah, Daryl hit me up and gave me absolutely 0 talking points. So I was trying to
Oh.
tread my way through there. Okay. He does that to me from time to time.
He always calls me and tells me I need to be somewhere early in the morning. Yeah, but because the more information we can get out there and people see that judges are real people,
Right.
that is what makes the difference.
Right. And
That's where knocking on the doors matters.
okay, and this is where people look at quote unquote the system as this monolith. We are of people, by people, for people.
Exactly.
And that's one of my
But the
favorite
more
things to
they
break down.
see that, the better it is. Because we got so many times people run for office, they come out here and say this, that, and other, you never see them again.
Right.
So I'm already on my, thank you tour.
That's
I've
right.
gone to several meetings of organizations that have invited me before, and then they're always surprised when I go.
Right.
Like they called me the other night to come to a meeting on Tuesday. They called me at like 8 o'clock on Monday night. First, she was surprised that I even answered the phone. Like I answer my phone all the time. And then she was like, and I was like, I'll be there. So I went and played bingo with some senior citizens.
Fun. Tell me you didn't win.
No, I won twice, but I gave my gifts. I gave my prizes away.
You can't win against seniors.
Yeah,
They will hate you.
They
will
actually,
hate
they
you
were
with the-
excited about me winning and me, because then it became a joke. She really is a winner.
Oh, nice.
So, but no, I gave my gifts to the seniors.
Very nice.
It
Well,
was pretty cool.
yeah,
I mean, I know it's probably just a fanciful idea, but I do want to stay engaged.
it's not fair. It's tackling. It's something to be tackled.
Right, but we
Yeah.
have to do that.
Absolutely.
And maybe, I don't know if everybody else had this idea when they ran and somehow lost it along the way, but I still have it. And I mean, it's important to me to keep doing it.
Sadly, I think a lot of folks, once they get elected, are just like, I gotta go do my job, and that's it.
No, but your job is the people.
Understood.
I mean, your job is a public servant.
Understood.
How are you? Vicky Jones, very nice to meet you.
JP, nice to meet you.
That is your job.
All right. Yeah.
At least that's what I think. All right, well, thank you so
Good luck
much.
to you. Thank you
I
much.
don't know how I got here, so I don't really know.
From the pandemic to today, I put 60 of them back on. And it feels like the harder I try, the more like, it's like I don't understand it because I work out like a beast. I'm a total gym rat to be sure. So it doesn't look like I'm as heavy as I am, but I am, and like the number just keeps creeping up. So
I go through these pendulum swings where I get in my zone and it's like I just shred it off. And I hit I'm so busy in my life. It's like I'm just a drone of eating horrible food, working on my doctorate at Baylor, and it's I can't eat a real meal, so I'm like candy and chipping it.
Right.
Just to get.
And all calories are not created equal. So
this empty bullshit, then you're still starving.
Right.
It's just
And there's no drive, there's no energy from it, there's no fuel.
no fuel. Then I turned 50, and I don't know what the hell that was about. And I'm wearing glasses and shit. I was like, what happened? For my 50th birthday, it was like, congratulations, here's some readers.
I got bifocals at 50. I had it in the car.
I was like, I didn't want this for my birthday.
You made it. Congratulations.
I know.
Here's you some progressive lens bifocals.
So, yeah. I'm at this point where
Hell all the time. It's like, wait, what? Hell no, we're not doing that.
so I'll turn 49 next month, and my wife is already planning my 50th. And I'm like, don't. All I want for my 50th is my 50th. I mean, that's.
We go to Canada. My birthday's in June 26th. So it's about.
No shit, that's my dad's birthday.
June 26th. And it's good, man. And so we go to Canada. So we fly to Buffalo, then we travel to Toronto, and then we go all the way from Toronto to Montreal, then come back to Syracuse and back. We drive all around the whole Great Lake.
Okay.
It's awesome. She must really love it because she sticks to it. She's not like, you know what, let's block it here.
Wait, so what do y'all drive in? I mean, is it like you go on the RV route, or you
No,
like?
we fly into Buffalo, get a rental car.
Okay.
And then we drive across the border.
Okay.
Toronto for a couple of days. Montreal for a couple of days. Go to this restaurant called Oopie Dokishan. And I was like, I'm not going to go to no Oopie Dokishan. I don't know. She's like, no, it's not. It's like, I thought you were from Louisiana.
Beans, fried chicken or something. I'm like, what am I eating up here?
I'm imported to Louisiana. I don't know how to speak French. I'm from Mississippi.
What part?
Grenada.
Where's that?
It's the big lake in North Mississippi.
Okay.
About an hour from
No, my daughter's in Mississippi now. She goes to USM.
Okay.
Always curious, which is nowhere near north. So. Yeah. 8:37 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Don't forget, Talk 107.3 is your new home for Ken Trahan's original prep football report. Get live in-game updates, a full statewide scoreboard, and check-ins with correspondents from every corner of the state. Friday nights this fall from 6 to 11 p.m. That is not a typo. That is a 5-hour-long show, and it is rapid fire. It's Ken Trahan's original prep football report, presented locally by Dr. Pepper and the Harold Perkins Jr. Tuition Program on Talk 107.3 FM. All right, we got Veterans Week right around the corner, which means we call on Kyle Callihan and Anthony Winters to bring us up to speed. Fellas, welcome back. How are you?
Oh, doing well. Outstanding. How are you doing?
Doing very well as well. All right, I'm gonna address the elephant in the room before we get started on anything else. Where's my beer?
It's coming. They're still manufacturing designs. It is the biggest. It is the biggest love in the world to be able to create it and design it, but it's almost ready. It'll be ready soon. We hope you bring us back so we can get it to you.
So that's what you did. You set us up for a 1-2 punch to get 2 seconds.
Yeah, that's how I do you.
All right, it's fair.
The old give and go.
It's the business.
So here's the back end of that for those that don't know. Every year during Veterans Week, y'all put together a specific beer. You create a beer for Veterans Week. In fact, on Facebook Live, while you're talking about what goes into it and why, I'm going to go ahead and show off the previous cans to Facebook Live. So go
All
ahead.
right, good deal. Yeah, so, we do that as a way to galvanize support, to just have a relationship with veterans. As we raise awareness, there's over 17.6 veterans per day dying by completing suicide, we wanted to raise awareness, and we think that just making a beer, sitting with the community and asking them, do true awareness by drinking a beer with a veteran, get to know a veteran, and have that conversation there to start the dialogue.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the last two have been lagers. Is that the path we're going down again?
Yeah, we're looking, surprisingly, trying to do 2 beers this year, and one more lighter, designed for people who are more calorie concerned.
Okay.
About the caloric intake, and then I love a good hearty beer for me and my beer drinkers. Beer drinking drinkers.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then, we will obviously have you back on for sure as Veterans Week gets here. Let's talk about it a little bit. What can we expect this year? I mean, I know there's the general rundown that you're going to have every year, but what are we looking at this year?
It's going to be so robust this year. I'll talk about the first event and let Cal kind of bring us home, but this year we're doing something extremely unique. We're doing a golf tournament out in Denham Springs at the Greystone Golf and Country Club. Those guys, Robbie and Cody and the rest of the team, have been so welcoming. The mayor of Denham really is excited. So we're regional now of the greater Baton Rouge. And so at Denham, we have the Veterans Day Golf Classic, and Southern University's golf team, men and women golf team, will be there competing. So we asked them to come out. And you want to see real golfing? It's going to be a 2-man scramble going out in foursomes. But it's not that BS golf score. People in the scramble, they come back with these amazing scores. You're going to have to really compete to win this championship. It's going to be a championship that we'll have every year there at Denham, long-term partnership with them. And then Wednesday, we're at the River Center, the Centralplex in my day. And so we have about 1,200 to 1,400 youth will be there. All of EBR Parish Schools, JRTC program, Superintendent Lamont Cole, Colonel Fulton Johnson, and all of their team will be there. All of Zachary JRTC kids. And then our partner, Helix Community Schools. Helix has been doing this with us for 5 years. And I mean, it's just a full week. Tell them about the rest of it, Cal.
So, and from there, you're going to do the traditional. Going to go Clay Young, man. Smoke them if you got them. Going to be at Don Juan's on that Thursday, the 13th.
Yep.
That's always a good time. We got cigars and bourbon. Friday, we're going to do the appreciation lunch at Webb's Barbershop. We got
right here down the street from you at Webb's Barbershop.
Appreciation lunch at the bar. That's not a big barbershop.
We're going to be outside.
We'll be outside, laid out.
11 to 12:30.
I drive past that thing twice a day, man. I don't know how many people you're fitting in there.
Yeah, that's my favorite barbershop. 30 years I've been getting my hair cut there. I love those guys over there, and so we partner with them to do that event.
And then Saturday, of course, is those Southern football game. Bring it to the. We got the band out there. We got the football game. It's the whole day.
And we have a gospel brunch that morning. Yep. So we'll have food there. We'll have some gospel acts singing. Then we'll bring the bands on and the DJs. It's so much fun. We do it all the way until they do the flyover. We have the military flyover right before we end it, and then we go in the game and enjoy the football. So that's going to be so much fun.
So what's cool, if you look at this week and look at day to day, from starting out with the golf to the River Center with the youth, to Smoke If You Got 'Em, to Friday lunch at Webb's, to Southern, we meet the veterans where they're at, so we can make connections and start fixing and do what we need to do, right? You meet everybody where they're at. If you want to actually get better, where are you at? I don't know your story. I don't know where you're from, but I know where you're trying to get to. And with my help and our help, we can let that happen. So that's why we offer so many variety of different things across the board there.
We've got a lot to unpack already, and I want to get back to meeting veterans where they're at in a little bit, but I want to start with the youth. I want to start with the JROTCs. How active, how vibrant, what's participation like in the junior ROTC programs these days?
Well, I think they have a robust, and all of the programs, Lieutenant Colonel Jerry Brandon over at Helix, they have a formidable program there with their Air Force. They're trying to add Army into it. But Colonel Fulton Johnson, who's over JRTC instruction for all of EBR schools, he was my battalion commander when I was in ROTC at Southern.
No way.
And then as he retired, he got into the JRTC program, and he has outstanding staff throughout all of his high school programs. Mm-hmm. And then Zachary High School, which is an independent school district, they have 185 students. Lieutenant Colonel retired Darren Spears, one of my frat brothers, we were in ROTC together. When he retired, he joined that program. So they have an outstanding program with 185 students. So all of those youth coming there to be able to celebrate veterans, and really, they're the new iconoclast of veterans. They're going to, in the future, if future-ready leaders that they're creating is outstanding at these programs.
The importance of a JROTC program is multifaceted. Not just setting up for, setting JROTC to ROTC to potentially military, but just the overall, how do I put this the right way? Just the overall lifestyle, the overall mentality.
You're manufacturing leaders.
Correct.
You're manufacturing leaders at ROTC, and that's what they're doing, is putting the leader mindset inside of them, instilling, reassuring their values. They already have values, but they reassure them. And it gives them something that's grounded in truth, and that's what's so important about ROTC.
And it's not just the grounded, but the follow-up as well.
Yeah.
The follow-up is unbelievably important as well. Let's pivot back over. We're talking with Kyle Callihan and Anthony Winters about the upcoming Veterans Week. Let's pivot back over to the veterans themselves and meeting folks where they are. It's going to be a very open-ended question, but where are they? Where are we at right now?
Man, it is unique as the individual.
Right?
This is unique as experience. This is unique as fingerprints, right? So that's why I say that I've been a proud partner, like Anthony's not to come on board and do the thing with Veterans Week, because every week, every year, it's something different we add to it, because we're so flexible and we're so just eager to help and assist. We're not afraid to answer the question. We're not afraid for you to come in and say, hey, what about this sleep thing? What about this nutrition? Like, okay, cool, we'll go find a resource. Andy's got hands in the community. I've been out here for a hot while. We can go find the resource to make it relevant and realistic to you where you sit, whether you're a 2-year vet or a 30-year vet. We're going to find the solution, man. We're all in the same fight, same struggle.
Well, and I asked the question because, and Anthony will probably follow up on this, is because with an entire new crop of an entire new generation that is completely different than our generation, and has just, come through and served and seen things and done things, and like, it's a different world now on so many different levels, whether you're talking social media interaction, whether you're talking about our level of importance to mental health, whether you're talking about the buy-in from the community to make sure everyone is we got a long way to go yet, but there's more awareness there now to keep people employed, keep people connected, keep people together. So we are now not where we were 20 years ago. So,
but I think I love the question. I think it is. I think the state of veterans is strong, right? Veterans are getting stronger every day. Veterans are not from a deficit mindset. We look at them from an asset mindset, because veterans have that certain je ne sais quoi, je ne sais pas, that they have that internal thing that you want veterans around. They can do well in crisis management. They do great when everything else is going to hell.
Right.
Veterans do well in that environment. So what it does for us is the team that we've built, that we've assembled, co-chair Rita Perilou, Cal's like Slash, he's like everything. He's assistant this, coach that, this, that, leading the team. We've assembled people who really believe in veterans. And like Cal says, meet veterans where they are. More importantly, we help them with these resources. Think of the partners that we have: Home Depot, B1 Bank Foundation, Southern University Athletics, Clay Young. All of these amazing partners are pouring into with Baton Rouge General Medical Center. These guys are saying, we're going to put our resources in there. Really having you all to provide us a voice to be able to reverberate these truths. Veterans are stronger and getting stronger every day because the community starts to see them. And Fortune 500s are investing. State agencies are saying, we want veterans on our team.
Yeah.
So that's why veterans are getting stronger each day.
Well, and I look at organizations like the Boot is a big one, and it's such a growing voice and an important voice as well. How did you phrase it at the beginning of that answer? You hit it right at the beginning. Is the assets that come to the table, and you don't want to use the term asset and dehumanize.
Yeah.
But at the same time, though, asset is a great word to use. Yeah. So back to the calendar. Clay will come by and beat me with a wooden spoon if I don't talk about Smoke 'em a little bit. For those that are unfamiliar, and I can't believe anybody in Baton Rouge at this point is unfamiliar, tell us about Smoke 'em.
Smoke 'em if you got 'em. Clay does that event in the spring, and it's a really powerful event where he galvanizes. That's the old saying in the military, by the way, where when you would go from attention to parade rest to arrest, and then your first sergeant will say, hey, smoke 'em if you got 'em. That while you're in formation, you pull out your cigarettes and you smoke them.
Right.
And so Clay took that whole old moniker and said, let's do something, raise awareness and raise funds for veterans. And so he allows us to use that brand and partner with him at Don Juan's, and we get to all come there. We give veterans every veteran knows this is a 5th year doing this, but they get a free cigar and a free cocktail that Clay's company and my company pays for, and that they get to come and enjoy that great fellowship. We raise funds this year. We're going to put the funds to Clay's event that he has, the Inspiration Center that he's been building. His dream has come true, and as
Over at
they're
Howell
getting
Park?
ready-
Yeah.
as they're opening that up. So we're putting there some veterans programming that we'll have in stock, so we can start doing things like letting veterans come out into the community and teach things like the kids don't know how to camp. They don't know how to set up a bivouac. They don't know how to do these kind of things. So we have these very important transferable skills that we can show the youth. So doing that at the Inspiration Center. So that's what this year's with Smoke 'Em If You Got 'Em goes to.
Very cool stuff. We got 1 minute left, which is enough time to talk about where folks can learn more on how they can get involved.
I just go to eventbrite.com to learn more, or call us at 8777-WINTERS. That's 877-794-6837, 8777-WINTERS.
Red Stick Veterans Week coming up, obviously kicking off on November 11th, running the whole way through, all the way through Southern football that weekend. It is always a jam-packed week. We will carve out a couple minutes to get you back in here as we get closer to it. But thank y'all so much for stopping by.
Maybe we'll have the beer next time.
Yeah,
I know that's
what you're really asking. That's what you're really asking.
I start off messing with y'all, but no, it's you better have the beer. I'm not messing around. 850 Talk 107.3 FM. Here's your money now.
I still am amazed at how y'all do this, man. Like, I don't, like, how do you do this? How do you constantly pull this off? Y'all make this shit look easy, and I'm like, how do you keep all of this together? I would crumble if I had to do this. Like, you just own at all times. How do you pull that shit off?
Nobody's shooting guns at us, man. This
Jesus Christ. Y'all make this shit look easy, and I feel like it's like a hamster.
Everybody speaks English here.
It's like jogging on a treadmill while juggling. Have you ever seen that?
Yes, I have.
That is the craziest shit in the world. A guy did that in Navy 04. What is a Navy 04 called? A piece of shit.
That's the wrong one. I'm Army guy. Don't ask me.
But, yeah, so like I'm on the treadmill trying to get my miles in at a deployment, and I was seeing something on my eye. I was like, what the fuck are you doing?
I'm having a hard time running. You're juggling and running.
Yeah, it's like,
Awesome stuff. Well,
Thank y'all so much.
we'll connect during the week as things are rolling on.
Sure.
And honestly, Clay's gonna be beating me up for airtime too. So.
Man, I wish you could.
I've never told him no. Don't plan on starting now.
I wish y'all could come out for the kids, man. If you come out and just pop over there at the River Center and see it, it'd blow you.
Oh no, yeah, I'll come out and do a little.
We're talking about 1,000, man, 12, 13. I was like, oh my God, the kids.
Having a partner like the River Center,
And then
that's
they come in with
$10,000.
the old head vets and be able to speak to them and understand what the value of putting that time and effort, learn the leadership, learn how to be that guy in those situations.
And that's midday or like
10 to 12. 10
Okay.
to 12. Yeah.
Shit, I can scooch over after the show.
Yeah.
I can come by for sure.
I'll be there at like 6 because my boss says so. But
We're there early as I know, but just pop by. I mean, it'll just blow your mind to watch. We have these kids in
make them
tune with
organize
this.
the seats. Like they actually do the work.
They organize it. They're on the stage talking. They're doing,
Well, and this is the part where like everyone who likes to shit on the upcoming generation, it's like you don't know what you're talking about.
Yep, you don't know what you're
Because
talking about.
You see the worst of the worst.
They're just different.
In a few examples.
Yeah, they're different. And our boomer parents, they probably thought we were a piece of,
We weren't tough or lazy.
Yeah. They're just different. They have a different mindset, and they've taught me. Like I used to be like, "Hey, you got to be like me," and they're like, "Fuck that shit. I've seen your life."
At least you say that move right. With your readers.
Hell yeah. I've seen your life.
Yeah.
You can't keep a woman. Like they're like, "You're horrible." Like,
My daughter hit me with an okay boomer, and I just don't know how to respond to that. So
it's great to see you as always, brother. All right, be safe. Thank y'all for everything.
Oh, man. Hey, thank y'all. Have a good one.
go for it. All right, I got an interview to record at 9:30, and then a podcast to record at 10. And I've got to post up a podcast as well. So, but I have to edit it first. My podcast, the one I did with Flynn, I got to delete that second question about the restaurant business because it's such a non-starter.
They're gonna do some work on that computer. Just had to log in for it.
Can I send it to a different web address?
Oh yeah, totally. I didn't know which one to use.
Oh, wait, I can read those times. That's fine.
There's got to be a bigger one, but when I search,
So I go to time.is.
Okay.
Is the one that I use, but it has a pop-up on it if you go away from it and come back. So I don't know how to not pop up.
So what I'm trying to get them to do by putting this on the network, and they had to get the admin access, is to go in there and basically say, don't go to sleep, like stay on.
Yeah.
And the problem yesterday was the TV has a setting to turn off every so often, and then that thing, just like any computer, would go like quiet, and you'd have to log. Either you have to hit the space bar every 30 minutes or log in, which I want them to go in and say leave it on.
Right.
So if that was a better one, that's the one I think Matt uses. I didn't know which website that was.
Yeah, time.is. Paul Origo, talking about Webb's Barbershop. Paul Origo's, do what? Nobody calls him that. Paul texted during the show, during the segment, he said, Webb's Barbershop has more bullshit than a barnyard. And right on the other side of the tracks. You know where that Lincoln Hotel's at? Yeah. Yeah. I need to start going there. I go to Glamour Cuts because I love the ladies over there, but doing? I used to go to Troy's. I had to stop going to Troy's because all he wants to do is talk about comedy. Oh yeah. It's like I got no like story for you. I got no tea to spill. Yeah. 856 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Want to remind you one more time about 5-Star Printing and Signs. Take a look at your business card. Take a look at any of your signage. Take a look at any of your printed material. And be honest with yourself. Does it pop? Is it something that you would talk about? Because if it's not, then it's just background noise. And if it's just background noise, it's out of sight, out of mind. Branding right now is more important than it's ever been. We are bombarded with messages. How does yours stand out? Danny and his team over at 5-Star Printing and Signs, 2714096. This is what they specialize in. This is what they do, and they do it better than anybody else out there. Whether you're talking about slapping your logo on merchandise like the mug I'm drinking out of right now, shout out to this advocate. Whether you're talking about your business card, whether you're talking about your restaurant menu, whether you're talking about your 3-fold brochure, your door hanger, or the signs that are up on your wall, or hell, when you talk about your vehicle wrap, Danny and his team, they tackle these things, and they make sure that you are not out of sight, out of mind. You are front and center. You are remarkable, as in to be remarked upon. Check them out online at printshop5.com or just call, chat, 271-4096. All right, if you were hoping Roger Goodell, we have an outside in, but it's not really an outside in, so we're going to call it the outside in. Is that fair? If when you heard the news that Bad Bunny was going to be the Super Bowl halftime show, you were thinking there's got to be someone we can appeal to. Well, sadly, the same person you would appeal to is the person who made the ruling in the first place. So, surprise, surprise, Roger Goodell's not budging.
Roger, when you guys chose Bad Bunny for the Super Bowl, there was some blowback from that. I wonder what you make of that situation and what went into the decision to choose Bad Bunny as your Super Bowl halftime performer.
He's one of the leading and most popular entertainers in the world. That's what we try to achieve. It's an important stage for us. It's an important element to the entertainment value. It's carefully thought through. I would say that I'm not sure we've ever selected an artist where we didn't have some blowback or criticism. It's pretty hard to do when you have literally hundreds of millions of people that are watching. But we're confident it's going to be a great show, and that he understands the platform that he's on, and I think it's going to be exciting and a united moment.
Hey, just following up on Stephen's question about the halftime show. To be clear, there is no entertaining of any shift whatsoever, correct?
Pardon me?
You're not entertaining any change in Bad Bunny's booking for the halftime show, correct?
No, the show will evolve from here. So I'm not saying that there won't be additional talent that might be available, but that's always the way it works. So.
I mean, just it's not for me. It's not my genre. But I also understand that there are millions and millions of Bad Bunny fans out there, and the YouTube numbers support that. So attacking that market, that's what the NFL's doing. We're done for today. We'll be back at it tomorrow. Moonger Fawn's next. All right, guys. I have I got to bounce. I got an interview coming up. Actually, 2 interviews coming up. So, thank y'all so much for playing along. We got a lot of ground to cover tomorrow. We're going to speak with LSU about game day prep tomorrow. We're going to have, I believe, Bullfish Bistro is slated for their makeup date for Foodie Friday. Trying to think what else we got going on tomorrow. There's so much. We'll get an update on the special session and a whole lot more. So we will see y'all tomorrow.